in debt. I'm obese. I'm addicted to anime porn. I live in my mom's basement. And I'm confused about what gender I am. Now, let me tell you how to fix the country. I'm in.
That one is still one of my favorites, I'm not going to lie. It speaks a lot to the problems that are going on in the world right now. And what's going on? So we got a lot going on today, guys. In about 35 minutes, we're going to have Scott Bessent hanging out with Caroline Levitt doing an update on the tariff situation. We'll see what all they go into. We'll be ready and live for that. I've got it sitting on standby over here, ready to process. We've got Canada just giving the fuck up and going full communism. Congrats, guys. If you guys are smart and you live in Canada, I would move to Alberta, and that way, when you guys try and secede and get away from Canada, you can become the 51st state when we assist you. Maybe that was the game plan with Trump all along. I don't know, but I feel bad for you guys this morning. All right, what else we got? We got Wednesday. Trump will have kind of a breakdown. I think that's the 100-day mark as far as when they're going to like highlight all the good things that are happening. Obviously, give you the very positive view on all of it. And I think that'll be pretty good. We also have Amazon looking to show the tariff difference, the Trump tariff difference on all of the prices that you're going to be paying. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes down politically as well. It shows how short-lived, Jeff Bezos hanging out at the inauguration ends up being. Hims is up 45% today. Is it today? Because that'd be a lot. Yeah, and a lot more. We got Bessent, like I said, talking. He's going to be talking in 35 minutes. We got Lutnick talking at 1 p.m. today. We've got Temu and Shein going into full devastation. We've got Spain, Portugal, and parts of France losing power for a very long time. Still a fucking mess. We'll go into the breakdowns of kind of why that's such a problem. And how it points to how Canada's even more fucked with Mark Carney in the lead. It's going to be a fun one today, guys. All right, real quickly. So let's start off with tariffs because that's the topic that everybody cares about right now. We've got CNYer. It says China urges BRICS to resist U.S. tariff pressure and reject appeasement at BRICS meeting. Chinese foreign minister. This is all cute. Get rid of the bully. That's so funny because, again, the bully has been China for decades. And again, they're still a third world nation that gets all these extra favors because they're developing. It's idiocy. And here's the thing. With BRICS, I just put the only part of BRICS that matters is India, and they've already chosen their partner. I think that's very true. I should probably say good morning to everybody. There's a lot of people on here. Morning to John, Luke, History, LW Crypto, Unlock, Real Estate, Oak, PB, BGZ, Morrow, Steven, Reber, Sean. There's just a bunch of people. Alex Garcia, what's up, buddy? Stubble, hey, how you doing? All right, let's keep rocking and rolling. So we had a post where that came from this Peter Tuchman. It says many CEOs are now expecting a recession in 2025, a massive change from when President Trump took office just 3 months ago. This level of uncertainty is taking its toll. I actually agree with all that. Let's listen real quickly. Oh, wait, is this 11 minutes? Fuck that. So Dan Ives talks in here as well, and hanging out with whoever the fuck this guy is. I don't even know who he is. But they talk about how we're definitely headed towards a recession, and I don't know, we might be. I mean, honestly, tariffs will have impact on the United States, both positive and negative. Over the short term, it will create chaos. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of people that aren't spending. So there are negative ramifications of what's going to be happening. I just think the greater good is worth it. And so I put, yes, tariffs and will take a toll on the USA, but the one on China is devastating. Either way, we have to bring critical dependencies back to the United States while lowering the threat against our major adversary. And I believe that that's the main objective and what we have to do. Also, guys, if you're not noticing, down in the bottom corner, you'll see Bitcoin's price action still looking really, really good. And I think getting ready to go higher. We got a lot to talk about with that on just like, again, M2 money supply in China exploding all over the place. The fact that they don't have direct access to Bitcoin. We'll talk about kind of how hard the Chinese government over the last, umpteen million years has worked to eliminate Bitcoin as an off-ramp for the Chinese people. But but it's still making its way there. But you could really see it making its way to gold. That's something we got to show in a little bit here. And it started way before the tariff war. All right, so strong demand from TSMC for tariff-related rush orders have completely filled wire bonding, flip chip packaging, and bump capacity at ASE Tech. I don't even know what all that is, but let's just say boxing and packaging. The semiconductor packaging and testing giant Media Report, citing unnamed supply chain sources, end customers are trying to get ahead of U.S. tariffs before the 90-day pause suspension by pulling forward orders originally meant for the second half of this year. So again, we have this kind of delayed time bomb in the United States, which I think is really positive. One sec. Because we're still, in a way, allowing goods to get out of China into other countries. Again, we're working to crack down on that, but we do have this 90-day pause, which is allowing still a decent amount of flow to come through. Because we're not tariffing these other countries that, the 20, 30, 40% tariff rates, whatever they were at. And then China, obviously a lot higher. I think the highest outside of China was like 37 or something. I don't know. You guys let me know. But this allows the flow. It allows the spice to flow out of China for now. And then after the 90-day suspension, it's really going to get tight. But the uncertainty is what is really hurting markets a lot. And again, all the shifts. You've got a lot of people pulling forward demand, like what they're talking about here, trying to get a hold of the tariffs. You've got retailers that were trying to pull in a bunch of inventory and ramp up on that. That was driving prices up. And then again, the second order of effects is going to be when the orders really start to dry up. And don't get me wrong, in China they already are, and we're going to go over that. There's one video I'll probably end up showing you this morning from China Observer that shows just some of the devastation that's happening across their entirety of their manufacturing sector right now, just because of the way their system works and how they fund manufacturing, especially small manufacturers. So, Arnie, thank you for the $2. I'm not sure what your message was, but thank you very much. Appreciate it. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of dynamics at play, and just be ready for it. Here's the beautiful thing about it is the more chaotic it gets, Bitcoin goes up. And this isn't getting resolved quickly. It's just not. I don't know what people are hoping for. It will not. So Canada replaced Trudeau with Trudeau, a worse version of Trudeau, the mastermind behind Trudeau. Raber Trace says him and hers and NVO just announced a new long-term partnership, up 45%. Whoa, congrats. That was the 45% you guys are talking about. That's fucking kick-ass. I didn't own HIMS. I thought about it, but no, congratulations. That was incredibly oversold. It's really cool to see. It's really cool to see partnerships going on too. That's kind of fascinating in consolidation. I think that's brilliant. Hopefully we see more of that across multiple sectors. Alona said 51st state is now possible. Yes, it is. Stubble says, give Jesse a thumbs up. Appreciate that. Anybody who does that, that's a huge thing for us YouTubers. When you guys give us a thumbs up, it helps the channel out a lot, and it doesn't actually cost anything. So it's really appreciated. Sean, 5 trillion is so low, more like 50 trillion. I'm not sure what that's in regard to. Something up above. NDP leader could not win his riding. Pierre could not win his seat either. Canada, majority of government. The problem, we'll talk about that. There's a lot to talk about with Canada and just how fucked up they are. We'll be looking at that. Oh, there's the HIMS news about the Novodesk. It looks like it's coming across CNBC right now. Good morning from Taiwan. Hey, JT. Canada is like the WEF, replaced one Bond villain for another. I know, it's ridiculous. We'll talk a lot about Canada this morning. There's a lot to cover in that one. So, again, expect disruption, though. Expect a lot of disruption. That is the name of the game. And you can see, I won't go through all of this, but Latin America also impact from tariffs. There's a poll in here from Atlas Intel. This is one of the most reliable you can get out there. They did a great job in this last election and the one before it. And at least with Trump, it's really hard to know that stuff with Canada. It's just they don't have a good election process. Could have been rigged. I don't even know. It doesn't really matter. But so you can see Trump's tariffs are a major concern for the majority of Latin American countries, but Brazilians and Colombians are split. So Brazil actually, the negative Trump tariffs, they're like, 53% don't think the tariffs are going to be negative. Chile, a massive amount think they're going to be negative. And a lot of Latin America thinks they're going to be negative. Again, these economies around the world are already slowing, and tariffs do not help them out at all. Only in Mexico is there a majority belief that country's leadership is capable of negotiating and reaching an agreement with the U.S. If you look down here, Mexico, they think they can reach one. The rest of them do not. It's very fascinating because Argentina is a good ally of the United States. You think this poll would be a little bit better for Argentina. And Trump likes Milei, so it's really kind of odd that that's not that way. But there's a bunch more in here. I probably won't go through all of them, but I posted that this morning, so feel free to take a look. Also, I want you guys to understand all the nuances that are going on in China. I love Lei from Lei's Real Talk. She's brilliant. She used to live in China. She talks about it, and she gives you like a good interpretation of what is going on internally and what the messaging is internally in China, and then also what they're displaying to the world. But she said in here, amid the Chinese Communist Party's brutal internal infighting, cracks on Xi Jinping's grip on power are becoming impossible to hide. Yet, strangely, his political enemies are rallying behind him. And political enemies are in the CCP. Everybody's in the CCP that's a politician. Are rallying behind him on the tariff war, or so it seems. The truth is far darker. Xi's rivals have their own hidden agendas and have to set up a trap. Their goal, to use the chaos of the tariff war to bring down Xi Jinping once and for all. Who are the real enemies lurking within the CCP? What do they secretly want, and what are they hoping to avoid as the tariff war escalates? Has Xi Jinping fallen into a trap he can't escape? I actually think he has. I haven't watched this latest episode. I'll probably do that later. This is 12 minutes and 36 seconds. This is actually from the 17th, so maybe I did already see this one. But I do believe, I believe her 100% she is right. And that's why I believe there's like an 80% probability that we're going to see Xi Jinping fall this year and have be replaced with somebody else. Probably somebody else who is more willing to work, or at least give the impression of working with the United States and kind of reverting back to capitalism and democratic values and the things that they talked about doing for a long time. That's my guess. I think that's the highest probability. Christophe Barrade, tariff chaos drags key Texas manufacturing data down to worse since 2020. I was gone for this yesterday, but yes, the United States Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index dropped down to 35.8. It is the worst since the pandemic. It's not quite as bad as January of 2016, which probably nobody remembers, but it's pretty bad. And it is the only things that really superseded are this little blip in 2016, which I'm sure will pass, the pandemic, and then the 2008 financial crisis. So it is like the uncertainty is definitely dragging these things down. You have to understand that. Here's the fascinating part, though. There's a lot of companies that aren't affected. Coca-Cola top earnings estimates keeps full year outlook as it expects minimal tariff disruption. HSBC, low single-digit revenue impact from downside of tariff scenario. Wall Street Engine says, according to TD Cowen, freight volumes are under serious pressure. West Coast ports have seen a 30% drop. East Coast ports are down 12% as major retailers temporarily halt non-essential shipments. This is kind of funny because I was hearing other stories where basically there's just no ships anywhere on the West Coast. It sounds like a 30% drop is pretty large, but that doesn't sound like no ships. But yeah, so we are seeing drops. You're going to see probably more of that too. And like, they don't call them ghost ships. I forget what they call them, but where they're just basically empty. Normally a critical time for imports this time of the year. The spring season is now seeing what analysts call a volume air pocket with early inventory pull forwards falling short. Rail truck volumes could face even more downside in the coming weeks and slow down. I've been thinking about this as far as like other hedges. I think Bitcoin is great, honestly, probably the best. But just other companies like maybe Simon Property Management that runs all the malls, some of these are going to get just crushed, right? Because all these retail stores that are inside of these places, they buy all their goods from China, and depending upon how long the trade war goes on, I just don't know how much devastation and havoc they will have. But again, just trying to give you an even view of all these things. So I put no here. Japan Economy Minister Akazawa, no change to our stance. We're demanding full removal of U.S. tariffs. And then Shea said, again, Amazon to display Trump tariff costs on individual products. So that should start to come up. I haven't seen it. I just bought something yesterday on Amazon. I didn't see it, but we'll see whenever that comes across. C&N Wire says tariffs as a leverage. Trump ties tariff policy to tax cuts and demands major concessions from China. We already saw this the other day. I think that's good enough. Here's a new one. Trump moves to ease automaker pain with tariff relief on foreign parts. So we'll see if we get more details on this morning, too, in about 22 minutes. But again, here's an article from Zero Hedge. I don't know if this is premium or not. just talking about how they're looking to remove some of that. They talked about it briefly on CNBC and this morning. It sounds like one of the biggest benefactors, two of the biggest benefactors are Ford and Tesla, because they don't actually have their vehicles made in these other places. Well, they Ford a little bit, but Tesla really no. Its inventory is coming from the United States. The only thing that really hurts it is parts. And so Tesla will be the biggest benefactor of the changes that are going to be coming here with automaker part relief. So again, Tesla, just a huge winner. And on that note, we actually had Fundstrat talking about Tesla today too, as one of the ones that they believe are going to do quite well, and that it's washed out and it's bottomed. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second. I think that's it for. Oh yeah, right here. So when people realize that Donald Trump is not caving on China, when will people realize that Donald Trump isn't caving on China and that the deal might not come for a while? You can see Polymarket U.S. trade, a China trade deal before June. You can see how in April it was like at a 70%. This is probably everybody thinking that Trump is going to cave, right? Well, they started to give up hope on that. April 20th was a low. Then they got a little bit of hope into the 23rd, and now they're down to under 30%, 28%, 27%, that belief that they're actually going to get some kind of relief. And so I think they're starting to come to that realization. HIMS is up 33% now. It was up 45%. Awesome. Hey, Jesse, did CleanSpark acquire something this past week, or is it rumors? I don't know. I didn't see it. If it did, if somebody knows in chat, please throw it out. Morning from Bangalore, says Benedict. Everybody here is super positive about the new alliance with the U.S. and Donald. I am too. I think that the combination of India, who has very similar values to our own and who's fighting a lot of the same fights that we're fighting, like India against Pakistan, which is really kind of a proxy for China. I think all those things are super positive. That we have such alignment on a lot of these issues, and I think it's going to be really good going forward. CleanSpark bought a side, or in the process, a side. What do you mean a side? What is a side? Novo Nordisk, Kim's agreement. Yeah, yep. What's up with State Truck backed by Bezos? Thoughts on this, Jesse? Slate Truck. Oh, I think it's fucking stupid. I don't even like to look at it. It looks retarded. It's probably not safe at all. And Bezos is backing Rivian too. How well is Rivian doing? They're getting completely fucked in this tariff war. They'll probably go bankrupt. All right, let me see what else we got here. Anything interesting? Oh yeah, Apple didn't stay in China by choice. China trapped it. WCCF Tech says iPhone 18 needs China's expertise. Reality, Beijing blocked Apple's gear from leaving. And this is so true. They really did. So again, these articles, there's the Chinese propaganda version of the discussion, and there's the reality. And the reality is that they did block all their machines from even being able to leave the country. In some cases, they gave like 4-month delays on them. They've been slow rolling, trying to prevent China from being able to leave. This post goes into a lot of the details. I won't talk through all of it, but you can look at it. Site CleanSpark looking at 100 acres near a dam, and I think getting power from things like dams that have consistent power but only use a portion of it is a brilliant idea. They can get really cheap agreements. Very, very smart. I think that's it for the tariff side. We'll probably skip there. I want to jump over to U.S. economy because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So Tom Lee gave a list of washed out stocks, large caps. I highlighted a few that I believe are good ones. Tesla, Hood, MicroStrategy, SMCI. MicroStrategy's already ran a decent amount, but I do believe that these are good ones that are going to continue to thrive. And he just put current market caps greater than 15 billion, declined more than 30% from February 18th, didn't make new closing low between April 1st and April 8th. Current price down more than 25% from 52-week high. And like in Tesla's, he specifically called out Tesla as a good one. Also, he said Tom Lee believes that stocks have bottomed, and I said, and so do I. He put down these examples for the reasons why. On 414, VIX closed below 31. 422, 2 consecutive 90+% advancer days. 423, high yield OAS recover 50% widening. And then 424, the ZWI breadth thrust triggered. Confirmed 50% retrace S&P 500. So they're just saying, hey, we think we're done. We think it's up from here. Not that we couldn't have maybe a little bit of chop, but we think we're done otherwise. Got about 17 minutes until this man comes on and talks with Caroline Levitt. Again, I'm going to move the screen over here just where I can keep an eye on it. So I got that on my other screen. All right, Dan Tapiero. I love this one. I love Dan. I think he's great. And what is Dan's credentials again? I don't remember off the top of my head. He is the founder CEO of 10T Fund. Very very Bitcoin oriented. Macro PM for 20 years. Yeah, he's a good dude. He's got way too many acronyms in there. He said, if you ask me, it looks like an easy drop here of 100 bips coming 3.69% today, down 2.69%. U.S. 2-year notes. Textbook head and shoulder pattern where price collapse is on break of 3.5. It's not that hard. Data is soft. Liquidity from the NDX, BTC, day, etc. Rocket time. So he's telling us that Bitcoin's getting ready to pump because of liquidity coming into the markets. And he's saying that just looking here, you can see how this is getting ready to roll over. And it looks like this is, you got a bunch of things in here. But all of them are aligning the same way, that head and shoulders breakdown pattern. And if anything, it looks like this is the head and shoulders right here. And then this was like confirmation of a rejection, and then it's rolling over. And I agree. We're going to see rates coming down quite a bit. 100% agree with that post. Bravo Research said, caution, home buying conditions have collapsed. It's fallen to levels seen only 2 times since 1960, 1974, and 1981. It says people don't feel like buying homes. Buying conditions for housing as surveyed by consumers. Buying conditions equals share reporting good conditions minus share reporting bad conditions. And as you can see here, it goes all the way back to 1960, and it is showing the worst read of this entirety of this. Again, this is University of Michigan, National Bureau of Economic Research, Federal Reserve Board. Just think heavy political bias, but I do think a lot of this is true as well. All right, let me check comments too. I got to kind of hop back and forth here. Rex talked about the CleanSpark news. Cool. Yeah, check him out for that then. Man Mahindra, India prepared to offer U.S. forward most favored nation clause as sweetening in trade. Hey, have you tagged me in that? Can you, Mahindra? I'm going to look over here real quick. I'm assuming you probably did, but I'm just going to get over here because I want to see that one. Yeah, okay, you did. You're such a stud. Thanks, brother. All right, that's a huge one, guys. That's a huge one. That's so big. So big. All right, I just wanted to tag that real quickly. Here, I can bring it over for a second. But yeah, so this is it. India prepared to offer forward most favored nation clause as a sweetener in trade talks. That's great. I'm sure that will lead to all kinds of goodies. And again, it just helps. It's just a strengthening. It shows the rest of the world, who are you going to side with? China, a country that is falling apart, that is aggressive, that is expansionist, that is hostile to its neighbors, and threatening them and taking advantage of the existing system and undermining your own manufacturing efforts. Oh, it looks like 1 second. Oh, let me mute that. Okay, sorry. It looks like they came in and they turned on the mic. Are you going to choose them, or are you going to choose India and the United States? I think that's an easy decision. We'll talk about this more, but Michael Arowit put test failed, maybe shutting down nuclear power plants without reliable alternatives isn't the smartest thing to do. So it put Spain is putting renewables to the ultimate test per Bloomberg on April 11th, 2025. So again, they got rid of nuclear. They got rid of all the stuff. They got rid of coal. Good job, Greta. You made it happen. And now they don't have power, and they're getting blackouts. That's not very productive for their economy. Only 365 days in a year. When you lose one, that sucks. And who knows how unstable they are going forward. So again, this is just showing how the leftist agenda is just a really idiotic one. Heart's in the right places for the most part. But when it comes to energy, I think the heart is in the right place. It's like everybody wants more green stuff. They want less pollution. But you can't just get rid of the energy that you have. And energy abundance leads towards the ability to be able to progress and get to even better forms of energy and better forms of technology that help us solve new problems. So you either have an abundance mindset or you have one that's the exact opposite and watch your country fall apart. Lulu is woke as fuck. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. And again, they're taking advantage. A lot of these companies that are getting hurt are ones that have taken advantage of the relationship with China and have embraced cheap labor, slave labor, and they charge outrageous amounts for clothing and other stuff that gets made for a fraction of it. I do believe some of that is true, right? I think a lot of these plants the things are getting made in China. They're getting made for a fraction of the cost when people think they're getting made in like Italy and other places. It's all bullshit. And it's time. There's a reckoning coming, and it's time for them to feel pain. Michael says there are comparisons between tariffs and COVID supply chain shocks. They're different. There will be disruptions for non-essential goods manufactured in Asia. I think we looked at that one yesterday, and I do agree with that. Let me refresh real quick here and see if we have anything else under the U.S. economy. We do have about 11 minutes, again, until we're going to be listening to Scott Bessent. I think that might be it on this one. There's probably some other stuff in here. 40-page impact on tariffs. I think we went through some of that yesterday. Yeah, this is all good. We're good on this front. Let's go into the energy just to talk about, and we didn't cover back Bitcoin yesterday, so we're going to do that. So again, here's the new Canadian Prime Minister. Congratulations to everybody in Canada. You chose a real piece of shit that probably diddles little kids, and hopefully we got some good videos on him and some incriminating evidence, and we can use that to our advantage now. But let's listen to him real quickly, just talk about energy.
You demanded action, and now it's time for the financial sector to deliver. To reach net zero, every country, every company, every bank, every investor, every pension fund around the world will need to make some big changes. In the run-up to COP26 in Glasgow, we have an enormous opportunity to bring climate change into the heart of every financial decision. And our plan will manage the risks from climate change while helping to seize the opportunities from a newer, greener economy.
So again, this right here is the same kind of thing that has fucked Portugal and Spain over the last day. And let's just look here, Barcelona, Spain. Isn't this amazing? There's the Sagrada Familias right over here, this big old building, big old church. And just look at them in the dark. Now, they have gotten power back in some. Let's look at this, though. Isn't that exciting? They're blowing up their nuclear power plant. Isn't that great? Good job, guys. Good job. And before we get to that, so again, Spain declares a state of emergency after today's massive blackout. Nearly 10 hours later, 65% of the power is still gone, with large parts of the country in darkness. As the sun sets, 20,000 extra police officers were assigned. And again, Spain hits its first weekday of 100% renewable power on national grid, April 22nd, 2025. Less than a week later, the entire fucking thing goes down. So, and for Portugal, I don't know if this has gotten better. If anybody knows in Europe, let me know, please. But restoring power across Portugal could take a week for parts of it, which is fucking insane. And again, just looking at the load here going down is also insane. So these are the things that we need to avoid. And let's just listen here real quickly to our energy secretary in the United States, Chris Wright, talking about our oil supply and some of the stuff that Biden was doing right before he lost his job.
Is the price right enough, pun intended, I suppose, Mr. Secretary, to refill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve right now?
Oh, absolutely. We are refilling the reserve now, and we will continue to refill the reserve the whole time I'm in office. You know, that was just such an irresponsible action to drain that reserve so quickly for electoral reasons. And in fact, it was drained so fast, it did some damaging to the facilities. And so right now, we only can fill 2 of the 4 major salt caverns we have. So we're doing repair work on the other 2. We're slowly filling the other 2. And I'm trying to get some funds through Congress that'll give us a longer-term runway to fill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve at the fastest rate we can.
So we literally damaged some of our facilities for our strategic oil reserve, trying to get it all out. A couple things here real quick. So Rose said, Anthony Noto earlier today said, I do think people are looking for reasons to not be bullish, but we're not seeing it, which is great, right? Math 2 said there's a minority government in Canada, at least, thank God. That's good. I think you guys are still, I don't know, man. I still think Alberta being the 51st state is closer than ever now with this recent choice. And we'll look at some of that. Actually, let's just do that right now real quickly. So if you look here, Alberta should not pay for geriatric communism. You're already seeing a bunch of comments. Here's from Pierre-Luc. And he shows how Alberta's net contribution to Ottawa, more than $244 billion from 2007 to 2022, dwarfs contributions from any other province. And you could see, QC over here, Quebec. You can see basically the liberal old assholes eating up everything, while there's younger people that are working hard in more conservative areas that are actually like the working class that are providing all the contribution to the country. So I think just more than ever, we're going to hear dialogue about people wanting to leave Canada. And National Post, Albertans say they're serious about separation after a Liberal win. I do believe this is true. The posts underneath it here are pretty interesting too. Living in British Columbia, I'm contemplating moving to Alberta just in case they separate. Somebody put cute good luck with that, Alberta. I'm like, the USA is happy to help. I'm sure they didn't like that. Perfect. They can just move then. Yeah, no, we'll take it all. Nah. Gotta piss off people. All right. And then I gotta like my own post, because why not, man? All right. So rest in peace, Canada. And again, this is where I got this other post from Pierre. Also, the older generation wants their handouts and watches MSM. So Geiger Capital posted this. So most important factors when deciding who you were going to vote for, 60 and over said dealing with Donald Trump. I don't know what the fuck they think they're going to do. And then 40 to 59, that too was one of their highest. It was the only thing that was more important to these people. And actually for 60 and up, it wasn't, reducing your cost of living wasn't important, which is shocking to me. It was only 45 to 59 and then younger that thought that was important. The 60 plus year olds didn't think that was the most important thing. It was Donald Trump. But again, they made a vote. Even though the reducing your cost of living was the highest voted item in here, all in all, they voted in a way that isn't going to help with that, which is shocking. It's really dumb. Can we give them Portland and Seattle in exchange? I say yes. We got to keep California, though. We can just ship all the people that suck in California over to there. But yeah, isn't it crazy just the path they went down? Isn't it nuts? I don't think it makes any sense at all. I'm going to jump real quickly to Bitcoin. We got about 4 minutes and we should be hearing Bessent. Let me hop over here. It doesn't look like we have them up yet, but it should be coming here in a second. So we'll be jumping to that right away. Let's look at the CNN Fear and Greed Index too. I updated this. Still in fear at 37. That's interesting. Let's hop over here and go back and see what we have for economic data that's going to be reported on this morning. Let's see here. Tuesday. Updating 7:30 a.m. We got goods trade balance. So we got stuff coming. So not only do we have Bessent talking in 3.5 minutes, but we have the good trade balance. That should be interesting. Should maybe even look worse. Retail inventories, ex autos, and wholesale inventories. All these things. The inventories are going to be interesting right now. I'm imagining they're high. For reports in March. And then Redbook comes in at 755. Case Shiller home price comes in at 8. Maybe we start to see this going down. It'll be interesting to see. And then the house price index at 8 as well. And then let's see here. Jolt job openings at 9. I'm going to stick around for that. Along with consumer confidence, job quits, Dallas Fed coming in at 9:30. There's a lot of stuff. We'll see if I can make it to 9:30. But the 9 o'clock, I think we're doing no matter what. That's just going to happen. All right, let's see. They're talking about Trump's tax bill. Oh, we only have 3 minutes, though. 2.5 minutes. I'll see what you guys are talking about here. We'll wait on that. Spain in trouble when it actually gets hot in the summer. I totally agree, Fox and Trox. That's going to be bad. Spain usually top energy consumption in the summer due to high temperatures. Yeah, and they're just not prepared for it. So, again, Europe, it would behoove Europe to buy as much energy as they can from the United States and use it, probably LNG gas and some of these other things, because Europe is fucked. They're heavily dependent upon Russia, which is a horrible place to still be in, and China and Russia, massive dependencies. And then at the same time, they've eliminated their most reliable energy sources. Outside of France actually still has a lot of nuclear power. I don't think they got rid of any. Can anybody speak to that? I know Germany did. I know Spain did. I know some of these stupid countries did. Which is crazy because Germany is a manufacturing powerhouse. Why would you get rid of your most reliable energy? I I don't get it, guys. JT, I used to work in healthcare, man, and when power was out, it was a serious emergency. Can't imagine how they're dealing with that. Yeah, I mean, you got generators, but fuck. Kyle Wright, crazy they're having blackouts now. It's only April. I know. Matthew Purdy, good morning, gangstas. Mike says my HIMS position is cooking. Congrats. Yeah, everybody who's in on HIMS, you're probably having a wonderful day. I don't know if Adam's here. Is Palantir 3030 here? He's got to be having a good day. I know he was a huge HIMS advocate. I don't know anymore. I'm assuming he is. Kyle Wright, can we give them Portland and see? Oh, that was you. Yeah. Gemini Knight, Jesse, Bitcoin, sure, taking its time to close above 95. It doesn't matter, though. I do think, can we get it today? Yes, I totally think that. Here's what I love. Here's what I love about this is just the sheer strength. When you bounce off of 74,000 on the 10th of April, and then 19 days later, you're sitting strongly and pressing against resistance at the $95,000 level without any kind of real retracement whatsoever. That's just bullish as fuck. So I'm very excited about Bitcoin right now. We're going to be looking at a lot of stuff that covers that. Let me hop over here and just see. I'm going to keep this going here because we're going to see them coming up in a second. What's most shocking is Pierre lost his writing. It smells like a rigged election. Yeah, I don't know. I give up. I give up on Canada. There's some parts of the West that are just unsavable. Canada appears to be one of them. History guy Scalps, born in Seattle, raised in the Portland, Vancouver area, retired to Florida now. Sounds like a smart move. Connor H1, did they get power turned back on? Parts of it, but not all of it. That's the problem. And Portugal, I think, is worse off. That's my understanding of it. I haven't dug into it too much this morning. I was focused on other things. Victor Hernandez, member for 7 months. Thank you, man. I appreciate your patronage. Sorry to be spamming the chat. Love from Spain. Oh, no problem, dude. Love back at you, brother. Do you guys have power? Let's see here. I'm from Spain. New ones to sell energy from Spain. Fucking stupid. Yeah, it's go woke or go broke. That sucks, man. Hopefully, I don't know. I hope I was hoping with Canada, even though again Trump was saying, "Hey, we want Carney to win." I'm assuming it's because he's got pedo picks, but which would be great for us. That means we'll have leverage, or he just thinks he's going to be easier to dominate. Whatever, either way. But I was really hoping you guys would be smart enough to try and focus on somebody that could actually help your economy, and I guess that wasn't the case. Real quickly, I'm going to jump this up. We got some data points, so we're going to jump over to it. We're going to listen to Rick Schmantelli here.
Here live at CME HQ at the breaking news on this Tuesday morning. First up is our advanced look at the trade balance, which is going to be a deficit. It's for the month of March, expecting a number in the vicinity of minus 145 billion. It is much larger, minus 162 billion.
That is not too much of a surprise, guys. Again, we were expecting that because there's a lot of push through, people trying to get everything they can before the walls close down around them in regard to China. So that makes sense. Let's see what else we got.
Minus 162 billion. Welcome to a new record. Yes, this is a new record. The previous record was held in January at 154 billion. That, of course, with a minus sign. This database goes back to January of 1989. And, of course, we could debate for many, many hours whether a trade balance, in this case a trade deficit, is something worth going after like this administration is, or is it something that is just natural with regard to trade? I'm not going to get into that. I will get into the fact that it is growing very aggressively.
Again, just pull through.
Wholesale inventories. This is a March.
It'll start to lower. It will.
Preliminary number expected up 0.6, very close, up 0.5%. That follows up.
I'm going to kill that. Still not seeing Bessent yet. We will look at those inventories. I was glancing at them a second ago. There doesn't appear to be anything too shocking in regard to them. Let's just look over here. So wholesale inventories, again, both of these are up. Retail inventories are up. They have been up for the entirety of this year. It doesn't shock me at all that people are trying to get as much retail inventory in as they possibly can. Wholesales, too, very solid all 3 months of this year. And if you go back, again, these numbers are the highest numbers that we've been seeing since the end of October of 2022, November of 2022. So we're seeing inventories building up. That's a good thing. It buys us time. We like time. So that's not bad at all. Again, in about 22 minutes, we're going to get the Red Book. And then a little bit, another 50 or another 5 after that, we'll get the S&P and the regular house price index and all that stuff. And then at 9, an hour later, we will get jobs-related quits and opens and consumer confidence and all the good stuff. The Dallas Fed services, those are going to probably be brutal too, I'm guessing. It's going to be very interesting morning. Oh, also too, CME, we did see a tick up slightly. If you guys remember yesterday, we were at 6.9%. We're at 7.6 now for a May rate cut. That is only just a hair over a week off. I don't know that we'll see that on that time frame. If we did, I think it would be shocking, and it would show the markets that that we're slowing down, and that would impact, I think, some companies worse. Anybody who, again, is very tied to China. Also, too, this weekend, guys, I haven't talked about it, but on May 3rd, Berkshire Hathaway is having their annual shareholder meeting. I'm probably going to be watching that. I'll probably start later and see if I can watch it really fast. But here, I'll just show you here. But that's going to be coming. So that's very exciting. Let me just go back here. So this is going to be coming up on May 3rd, 8:30 Eastern, so 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday. I don't want to spend my whole weekend looking at investment stuff, but I might do it just because, again, we don't get a lot of time with Warren Buffett. I'm sure he's going to have some negative views about Trump's tariffs. I would assume because, again, they're so heavily invested into China, or has been over time. He's made a lot of money off of China. So I'm assuming that he will have a more negative view. And I look at Warren as a liberal for good reason. Even though he's very capitalistic in nature, he's definitely very liberal. So it'll be interesting to see his take, how politically biased it might be, any additional facts that he puts out. I'm going to listen to it just to understand it better. And then we'll be jumping into Bitcoin. Still waiting. I haven't seen anybody come up yet from the White House press briefing. I'm going to make sure that I'm 100% live. I am. Okay. So once that starts to happen, I will let you guys know. Let me see if the volume's on. Yeah, they're talking. Oh, we might be getting somebody. We got people coming out. Oh, that's not helpful. Whatever. We got a little excited. All right, so I'm just going to maybe leave that running. Lower the volume. Oh, that's not what I wanted. How the fuck did that work? 1 second. I don't know all my commands here. All right, so I'm gonna leave that going. Hopefully you can still hear me. Can you still hear me, chat? Just to where I can hear if there's volume that goes off here. Let me just do this. I'll do that. Let me know if you can still hear me or if you're getting blocked off. I'm just going to leave that running. Okay. Jesse, I give it 6 months and another election in Canada. Put it on your calendar. Yeah. I keep forgetting you guys just do that. Like European countries are just like, fuck it, let's start over. All right, so Bitcoin, Dan Tapiero again. Here we go. I love this man. He said, partial comment from FOM, the prophet. So up here first, this is crazy. So look at Chinese gold trading activities since the beginning of the year. Do you see China maybe getting frightened in regard to gold purchases? And this is source is Bloomberg, and this is from Financial Times, it looks like, for reporting. But you can see how, and this just isn't just the government, it's individual investors too. It's showing how much purchasing is going on, way more than anything that happened. Yeah, it's just like an insane number, okay, for trading volume. And he says, it's clear who bought all the gold. Bitcoin banned in mainland China, so no other liquid store of value. How early is it for BTC? Second largest country in the world, can't even own it legally. Europe is hostile to it, and only one beacon of freedom, U.S. crypto capital of the world, the United States government. And then he went in, some other people made some really stupid fucking comments. But we'll talk about this first. So they basically said, no, it's not banned, or it's banned because these guys are so unfriendly to, or the United States has a monopoly, yada, yada, over Bitcoin. And so Dan said, and to follow up on the comments here, he goes, yes, Bitcoin is effectively banned for most practical purposes in mainland China. And that's true. Trading Bitcoin on exchanges, banned. You could still get around this. There's a black market for it, but it's hard. It's not easy for the average person to be able to do this and easily move money because they track so much of it. So you don't get like direct capital flows out of China for the most part going into Bitcoin. It's usually a workaround that goes all over the place. Dhruv Patel, thank you very much for that $199 and the other $199. Thoughts on CleanSpark? Are you still in July? I haven't left anything. I own a shit ton. My July calls, I've got the $37 ones. I don't love them. Let me just show you this real quick while we're here. I don't love the 37s at all because, again, they're just so high. Can we get there and could they turn positive? Yes, they could. But they're not in great shape. I've lost 94% of the value on them. But for the July 25s could still play out all right. They're at about 77,000. Between the two, I've got about 100K in them. But the ones I think are going to be a lot better are the 20 strikes for September and November. Those I think can do really well. And the September one is really been taking off, even though I don't have that much in it. Those are doing better. CleanSpark is my worst performing miner. If you look here, you can actually see how some of these other investments have really taken off compared to what they were. I mean, Mara, I'm up 15% on my calls in that one. SMCI, I'm already up 27%. TSLL, I'm up 43.66. Yeah, MSTX, I'm up almost 100%. So some of these others are doing a lot better. Oh, here we go.
Happy first 100 days.
Where are we?
Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that the bipartisan Take It Down Act passed the House last night. This important legislation was championed and guided through Congress by our wonderful First Lady, Melania Trump, including through her direct advocacy on behalf of survivors during her passage efforts. The Take It Down Act criminalizes the publication of non-consensual intimate imagery and requires social media and similar websites to remove such content within 48 hours of notice from a victim. The First Lady thanks all those who voted in favor of this important legislation, and the President looks forward to signing it when it arrives on his desk. Today officially marks 100 days of promises made and promises kept by President Trump. This has truly been the most historic start to a presidency in American history. After building the greatest economy in the world in his first term as president, President Trump is in the process of doing that all over again. The American people trust in President Trump. Since his first day in office, President Trump has focused on defeating the Biden inflation crisis, bringing down the cost of living, and making the United States the best place in the world to do business, invest, create jobs, and innovate. And President Trump's efforts are working. 345,000 jobs have already been added since the start of President Trump's term. Last month's jobs report saw nearly 100,000 more jobs than economists predicted, and it was the fourth highest month for private payroll growth in the past 2 years. 9,000 manufacturing jobs have been added to the economy already. This is a sharp contrast to the 6,000 manufacturing jobs that were lost each month in the final 2 years of the Biden administration. The U.S. employment rate remains at historic lows. And thanks to President Trump, Americans are seeing price relief for the first time in years.
I love Caroline, but I'm really excited about Scott.
First consumer price decline since the COVID.
I haven't really paid attention to Sui too much. That's like Marty Party and James. I don't really pay attention to shitcoins very much. I own a six-figure amount in Solana, and that's pretty much all I own nowadays.
For everyday goods have seen declines since this president was inaugurated. From airfare to used motor vehicles to prescription drugs, prices are dropping. In fact, last month's drop in the price of prescription drugs was the largest ever recorded. And after Joe Biden botched the response to the bird flu, President Trump and Secretary Rollins' aggressive plan have brought down wholesale egg prices more than 50% from Inauguration Day. President Trump ended Joe Biden's reckless war on America.
It's going to get interesting. Prices are going to get fucked up. Liberals are going to have the ability to be able to talk about all the things that are going up, and then conservatives will have the ability to talk about all the things that are going down.
American energy and fossil fuels and has restored American energy dominance. And Secretary Wright, Secretary Doug Burgum are working hard on that effort every single day. Oil and gas prices are now way down because of this bold approach. Gasoline prices down 7%. Energy prices are also down as well. The Department of Interior just announced a new offshore drilling policy that will boost oil production in the Gulf of America by 100,000 barrels per day.
I love that. 100,000 barrels is like, not too much, but it's great. Everything that we do adds up, just like Doge.
On the deregulation front, President Trump is committed to cutting senseless red tape. especially for America's small business owners who are the backbone of our economy. We know cutting regulation leads to lower costs and higher growth. The mass deregulation effort by this administration will help usher in the golden age of America, which is underway. Immediately upon taking office, President Trump blocked all of the unfinalized Biden-era rules, saving Americans more than $100 billion, or $2,100 per family of four over the next decade. And the president also launched a bold multi-agency effort to roll back existing federal regulations that drive up the cost of living on hardworking families. This effort is projected to yield significant cost savings in the coming months, including the EPA's rollback of tailpipe emission rules for light-duty and medium-duty vehicles and the Department of Transportation's latest corporate average fuel economy standards. These two efforts alone yield $755 billion in total savings, or more than $8,800 per family of four over the next decade. In total, the combined savings from
$755 billion over that decade.
All of these actions equal just over $935 billion, or nearly $11,000 in real savings per family of four per the coming decade. The press is not talking nearly enough about the positive impact of President Trump's deregulation campaign. And investments from the biggest companies and countries in the world are pouring in under this president. So far, total investment commitments under the Trump administration have reached more than $5 trillion, including $500 billion from Apple in U.S.-based manufacturing and training, $500 billion from NVIDIA in AI infrastructure, $100 billion from TSMC and U.S.-based chips manufacturing, and the $500 billion private investment by OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank in AI infrastructure as well. All of these investment commitments are estimated to generate at least 451,000 new high-paying jobs for American workers and families. At this point, President Trump has secured more investments in the United States of America in 100 days than Joe Biden did in 4 years. Yep. President Trump is America's businessman in chief, and that's why these trillions of dollars in investments are flooding to our country. The business community is bullish on America because President Trump is back in charge. Tomorrow, the president will host CEOs and leaders from several companies that have made these investments to tout their historic commitments to our country and encourage others to follow suit. Under President Trump, there has never been a better time to invest in America. And the president finally said enough is enough and refused to allow America and our workers to be ripped off any longer on trade. President Trump implemented powerful tariffs to end the era of economic surrender and to rebalance America's trading agreements. More than 100 countries have already come to the table looking to offer more favorable terms for America and our people. There has never been a president who has created his own leverage like this president, and we are just getting started. Republicans in Congress are getting very close to passing President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, which will include the largest tax cuts in American history, strong border security measures, major military advancements, dramatic deregulation, and common sense spending reforms. As President Trump has said before, the best is yet to come. For more on President Trump's economic successes so far and the plans ahead, I want to pass it off to our incredible Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who is here today, and we will open it up to questions.
There we go.
In our new media seat, we have Brendan Peterson, the financial services reporter for Punchbowl News. Punchbowl News covers power, people, and politics based in Washington, D.C., laser focused on Capitol Hill, the politics of legislating, founded in 2021, and it is the first newsletter that Capitol Hill and the White House reads every morning in the middle of the day and throughout the evening. Thanks for being here with us, and we'll start with you today.
Thanks so much for being here. I have a question for Secretary Bessent. On tariffs, the president said over the weekend that we are hoping that maybe tariff revenues could replace income tax. But we also keep hearing about the deals that the administration is pursuing. So my question is, what is the White House's ultimate objective here? Do you want to have long-term tariff revenue or deals that might reduce those tariffs?
I think it's a combination of both. So we're going to take in long-term tariff revenue.
I could answer this question.
In place, we have 18 important trading relationships. We will be speaking to all of those partners, or at least 17 of them, over the next few weeks, many of them have already come to Washington. What President Trump is referring to is the ability for tariff revenue to give income tax relief. And I think there's a very good chance that we will see this in the upcoming tax bill. The president campaigned on no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and the restoring interest deductibility for autos, for American-made autos. So tariff income could be used for tax relief on all those immediately.
Awesome.
So you think
Great
that
answer.
there is a role for significant tariff revenue in U.S. fiscal policy?
I think that it is something that got put away a long time ago, and I think that tariffs will bring back American manufacturing and generate substantial revenues.
On manufacturing, we've seen some pretty grisly surveys this month from the Philly Fed, which saw the biggest drop since May of 2020, and the Dallas Fed, similar plunging outlook, poor shipping orders. What are American manufacturers not understanding about your push for onshoring in the U.S.?
Well, I think I was in the investment business 35 years, and I learned to ignore the survey data and look at the actual data, and the actual data has been quite good. The job data is good. Americans keep spending, and as Caroline said, we have these incredible commitments to bring manufacturing back on shore with record investment by domestic corporations and foreigners who want to come into the U.S.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The Chinese continue to say that the U.S. and China are not engaged in any consultation or negotiation on tariffs. You recently said you've talked to your counterpart, but more about, quote, traditional things like financial stability. So can you clarify, is the administration talking to Beijing specifically about tariffs or not?
Well, we're not going to talk about who's talking to whom, but I think that, over time we will see that the Chinese tariffs are unsustainable for China. I've seen some very large numbers over the past few days that show if these numbers stay on, Chinese could lose 10 million jobs very quickly, and even if there is a drop in the tariffs, that they could lose 5 million jobs. So remember that we are the deficit country. They sell almost 5 times more goods to us than we sell to them. So the onus will be on them to take off these tariffs. They're unsustainable for them.
And they are saying you guys are not talking about it. So is that true?
They have a different form of government. They're playing to a different audience. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty, again, of who's talking to whom. But as I said, I believe for the Chinese, these tariffs are unsustainable.
And very quickly, 2 days ago, you said you didn't know if President Trump had spoken to Xi Jinping. Do you know now?
Again, I would say Caroline and I have a lot of jobs around the White House. Running the switchboard isn't one of them.
Bloomberg, go ahead.
Secretary
I love him.
Thank you so much for
I love Scott.
You've talked about the importance of giving investors certainty when it comes to the market, yet the Trump administration is continuing to negotiate several complex trade deals in a very sort of compressed time frame. When do you expect you'll be able to give the market some certainty around those deals? Do you have a deadline? Is it the 90-day pause? What are we looking at here?
Good question. And I think one thing that has been a little disconcerting for the markets is, President Trump creates what I would call strategic uncertainty in the negotiations. So he is more concerned about getting the best possible trade deals for the American people. We had 4 years of bad deals for decades of unfair trading, and we are going to unwind those and make them fair. What we are doing is we've created a process. I think the aperture of uncertainty will be narrowing, and as we start moving forward announcing deals, then there will be certainty. But certainty is not necessarily a good thing in negotiating.
Mr. Secretary, last night there were reports on the administration sort of walking back a little bit on the auto tariffs. Can you sort of just elaborate on that decision there and what we can expect going forward, and why sort of the shift in this auto tariff?
Well, President Trump has had meetings with both domestic and foreign auto producers, and he's committed to bringing back auto production to the U.S. So we want to give the automakers a path to do that quickly, efficiently, and create as many jobs as possible.
Jasmine. Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you, Secretary. Back on China, does the administration anticipate supply chain shocks or supply shocks coming now that cargo shipments from China are significantly down? And if so, are there plans in the process of how to address that?
I wouldn't think that we would have supply chain shocks, and I think retailers have managed their inventory
really well
in front of this. I speak to dozens of companies.
See, I love this. I told you guys, we've given ourselves time to be able to handle the pain. China has not. They can't. There's no way.
Sometimes daily, but definitely weekly, and they know that President Trump is committed to fair trade and have planned accordingly.
And then second question, can you outline the timeline for when you think some of these deals, particularly with your Asian countries like India, Japan, South Korea, you may have an announcement?
I'm glad you brought up our Asian trading partners and allies. They have been the most forthcoming in terms of doing the deals. As I mentioned, Vice President Vance was in India last week.
Oh, good. Yeah.
He and Modi made some very good progress, so I could see some announcements on India. I could see the contours of a deal with the Republic of Korea coming together, and then we've had substantial talks with the Japanese.
Andrea?
Secretary Bessent, just continuing on the path of the sort of progress. You said yesterday, I think, that it could happen as early as this week or possibly next week. Can you give us a bit of a timetable? And then I wanted to ask about South Korea specifically. They've said that they probably won't be able to make a comprehensive deal until early July because of their elections. Japan also has elections. And to what extent are domestic factors complicating your efforts? Canada just had an election. Are you seeing that you might have to think about delaying the 90 days?
Well, I would actually take the opposite tack, that I think from our talks that these governments actually want to have the framework of a trade deal done before they go into elections to show that they have successfully negotiated with the United States. So we are finding that they are actually much more keen to come to the table, get this done, and then go home and campaign on it.
Sean, I'm sorry, did you have a comment on whether something could happen this week or next week? For a deal. So, you said yesterday.
Again, I think that we are very close on India. And in India, just a little inside baseball, India, in a funny way, is easier to negotiate with than many other countries because they have very high tariffs and lots of tariffs. So it's much easier to confront the direct tariffs when as we go through these unfair trade deals that have been put in over decades, that the non-tariff trade barriers can be much more insidious and also harder to detect. So a country like India, which has the posted and ready tariffs, it's much easier to negotiate with them. So I think the India negotiations are moving well.
Sean, go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Secretary. So it was reported this morning that Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect, crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years?
Fuck yeah, go after
And
them.
I would also add that it's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Is Jeff Bezos still a Trump supporter?
Look, I will not speak to the president's relationships with Jeff Bezos, but I will tell you that this is certainly a hostile and political action by Amazon. And Secretary, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I would also add that the bringing down the terrible Biden inflation has been a priority for the first 100 days of the Trump administration, and President Trump has done a great job of leading that since January 20th. Interest rates, mortgage rates are down, gasoline and energy prices are down. We're expecting the further decreases. And as Caroline said, the big tax on consumers that goes unnoticed is deregulation or regulation, and we are deregulating and bringing that down. So, from a household income point of view, we would expect real purchasing increases. We've seen them over the first 100 days, and we would expect that to accelerate. We are doing peace deals,
Good. Fuck
trade
Amazon.
deals, tax deals, and deregulating. And the deregulation is a longer lead time, but I think by the third and fourth quarters, that's really going to kick in.
I agree.
Thank you, Caroline.
God, I love this man.
For you and Secretary Bessent. We talk a lot about volatility and uncertainty in the marketplace, and the president has stated all along that he's more concerned about mainstream America, the American worker. You just talked about deregulation and this entire fair trade and reciprocals. What is your message to the American people in terms of letting them get through this disturbance and the outcome being greater and a greater good for the American worker, the American people, the American families?
I would say trust in President Trump. There's a reason he was reelected to this office. It's because of the historic success of his economic formula in the first term. And as I laid out at the beginning of the briefing, and the Secretary has talked about, and the President talks about every day, there's a proven formula that works. Massive deregulation, energy independence, and tax cuts, which are coming. And the Secretary is working very hard on that with our counterparts on Capitol Hill. If you want to talk about that, that's a huge deal to put more money back into the pockets of hardworking Americans. As for the fair trade deals the President is trying to negotiate, he's not just righting the wrong of the mess that he inherited from the past 4 years of the Biden administration. This is a mess that has been created for the past 4 decades that has sold out the middle class, that has moved jobs overseas. You think about our heartland, middle America, what towns used to look like, what they look like today. President Trump wants to restore the golden age, and it's a process to do that. And that process is underway, but he's put together a fantastic trade team. Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick, Jamieson Greer, all working.
I don't want to interrupt Caroline here, but I did want to say in regard to Amazon being down 2%, they will find out. And I think Amazon's doing this because they are losing lots of money. There's so much that goes through China, so much. They've allowed basically China to wipe out American manufacturers and retailers for years and years and years. They're the ones that are hurting the most. I think their stock is going to go down a lot in the months and quarters ahead.
Incredibly hard on this effort 24/7, but tax cuts are coming, and that's key. And Mr. Secretary, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's really a three-legged stool in the economic policy. It's trade, it's tax, and
yes,
it's deregulation.
Tesla,
so we are in the midst of addressing, as Caroline said, these long-term trade imbalances. The tax bill is going much better than I would have thought when took office on January 28th.
That's
through President Trump's leadership. That Speaker Johnson, Leader Thune are united. Speaker Johnson, we had a very good meeting yesterday with something called the Big Six. NEC Director Kevin Hassett, myself, Speaker Johnson, Leader Thune, Committee Chairman Jason Smith, and Senator Crapo. And the tax bill is moving forward. It is going to give permanence to the 2017 Tax Cuts and Job Act, which will, back to the question on certainty, it will give American business certainty, it will give American people certainty, and then President Trump is also adding the things for working Americans that is talked about earlier: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, making auto payments deductible. So that will substantially address the affordability.
The bottom
crisis.
40%.
And the other
yes.
thing that I would note, and back to
40
data,
to 60,
is that the Vanguard one of the largest money management firms in America said that over the past 100 days, 97% of Americans haven't done a trade. And in fact, individual investors have held tight while institutional investors have panicked. So
I believe that.
Investors trust individual investors trust President Trump.
Megan, in the back.
Can you detail for us exactly what we should expect as far as relief on the auto tariffs front? And then further, Mr. Secretary, should we expect other industries to also get relief the way we've now seen for auto and tech as well?
I'm not going to go into the details of the auto tariff relief, but I can tell you that it will go substantially toward reshoring American auto manufacturing. And again, the goal here is to bring back the high quality industrial jobs to the U.S. President Trump is interested in the jobs of the future, not the jobs of the past. You know, we don't need to necessarily have a booming textile industry like where I grew up again, but we do want to have precision manufacturing and bring that back. And you know, another important, very important function of this that does not get talked about enough is national security. President Trump, his overriding concern and belief is that economic security is national security is economic security. And we saw during COVID that our supply chains got cut off. And we need to bring back a lot of those supply chains, whether it's in semiconductors, medicines, the steel, and we have to onshore those. So it's a combination of making trade free and fair and remedying this gaping national security hole that he was left with.
I would just add, Megan, the president will sign the executive order on auto tariffs later today, and we will release it as we always do. Go ahead.
Good to know.
Based on the negotiation with the European Union, is it hard to negotiate with the European Union?
Pardon?
Do you have any updates on the negotiation with the European Union?
I'm more involved in the Asian negotiations. My observation would be, goes all the way back to Henry Kissinger's statement, when I call Europe, who do I call? So we're negotiating with a lot of different interests. Some of the European countries have put on an unfair digital service tax on our big internet provider. You know, France and Italy, other countries, Germany and Poland, don't have that. So we want to see that unfair tax of one of America's great industries removed. So It's going to be a give and take. So they have some internal matters to decide before they can engage in an external negotiation.
Edward.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. Mr. Secretary, so contacts I have in the business community say that they're basically frozen for long-term investment because of the uncertainty around tariffs. How long do you think President Trump has to make a deal before there's damage to the economy?
Look, I think that what we're seeing is that business leaders, they've gone into a pause, and I think we're going to give them great certainty on this tax bill. And I think over the next couple of weeks, as I said, we have 18 important trading relationships. We'll put China to the side. 17 they are in motion. And then, as I said yesterday, I think there's a very good chance we're going to get this tax bill done. And the tax bill is going to be very powerful for domestic U.S. investment. So what we are going to do, one of the most powerful parts of President Trump's 2017 tax bill was full expensing of equipment. We are going to make that, as President Trump said in his speech to Congress, that will be retroactive to January 20th. The other thing that we are looking to add is full expensing for factories. So bring your factory back. You can fully expense the equipment and the building. We will couple that with deregulation, cheap energy, and regulatory certainty, and that will.
Oh, whoa, what just happened? Oh, shit. Fuck. I'm not sure what's happening. 1 second here, guys.
Beginning, there's a lot of reason for the American consumer, the American CEO, the American small business owner to be confident and optimistic about this president and where we're headed. So you will hear more from the president himself later this evening. He is traveling to Michigan, as you all know. He'll make a stop at the Air Force Base with Governor Whitmer, and then we will head to a rally tonight where you'll hear more from him directly. So we'll see you in Michigan. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, so one of the key takeaways, there's a bunch of stuff that's coming across with tariffs here. Let me just pop it over here. Let me just open this up. I love this view, by the way. So just looking at the right side here. So we've got Caroline Leavitt just destroying Amazon and talking about how it's politically motivated. It said Bessent won't deal auto tariffs relief or won't provide detail. But again, we know that there's an executive order getting signed by Trump this afternoon that's going to talk about that. One of the things that I just posted, actually, let me just bring this back over and I'll just pull that up. One of the things I just posted was the fact that Scott Bessent in this. So it says tariff. Zero Hedge said tariff front running sends U.S. trade deficit to new record high. But Scott Bessent in this said that the front running of retailers in other parts of the country have well positioned these companies for tariffs. I need to adjust that. Retailers and I should just say manufacturers have well positioned these companies for tariffs. So I think that is another key thing that came out of this is the fact that he actually made it sound like we're pretty well positioned for tariffs going forward here because of the fact that these guys have front run so much. So I think that's great too. I mean, he seemed very confident. I thought it was great. What do you guys think? Anything that I missed here as far as highlights that you want to cover? Yeah, otherwise I think it's good stuff. Let's take a look over here and see. We got more economic data coming out. It looks like we did get house price data. Let's jump to it. So Redbook year over year, yes, 6.1%. So if you just look here and we zoom out a little bit, again, you can see how this number since June of 2023 has been basically up and to the right slowly. It could start rolling over here soon after this front running comes to an end. But I think this can still happen, guys. The 90-day pause, again, I think gives us a lot of leeway. So all of April, okay, so we're about 1/3 of the way through. We still got May, we still got June before the 90-day pause comes off for all these other countries that will have the higher tariff rates that will really lock China in to the circumstances that they're sitting on. So you do have lots of pain and suffering, I think, for people that have high dependencies on China. Some of those will get relief. I think farmers will get relief. I think transportation and shipping will get relief from the U.S. government. And again, the bottom 40 to 60%, depending upon how you weigh it, will get relief from these tax breaks, which we just heard Scott Bessent was very, very, like he said, hey, I never would have guessed that things would be as strong as they are right now for the opportunity to be able to get tax relief. But because of Johnson and Thune and Trump's leadership, he thinks those things are going to happen. So the bottom 40 to 60% getting relief from no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime will be hugely beneficial as well. And so I don't know. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. With how much time we have before we really start to see pain in a wider margin. Again, let's say 1.8, 1.9, the official number is 1.6 of our GDP. But again, there's stuff coming from other countries too. Maybe even 2% of our GDP comes from these imports coming from China. So, or exports coming from China getting imported into the United States. So I believe that we're not going to see the impact that people are thinking we're going to see. And I was even listening to Tom Lee talking today about how the CPI isn't going to really reflect a lot of pain and suffering, especially in this upcoming read. So I don't know. That's giving me a lot of confidence. Let's look at the Case-Shiller home price index, 4.5%. I talked about how this could come in lower and how we're going to start to see the increase of inflation in homes start to drop. You can already see where that started to drop really low in May of 2023 after just this crazy uptick that we saw. 20% 20% increases year over year in inflation and home prices are unsustainable. And again, we had this little tick up in January 2024 into 2023 into 2024. We were high too, but now we're starting to see a rollover. We're not seeing prices going down, but we're seeing the rate of inflation go lower. We want to see that. And home prices year over year for the house price index were 3.9%, also lower. Look at this. Look at that drop. We like seeing this too. This is good. We want to see this rollover. This is the lowest read in the house price index since September of 2012. Is that right? No. I mean, I guess we had a pandemic one. What was that? So this is the second. This is the second lowest number since 2012. I think that's worthy of a post. Is chat still around? I want to make sure you guys are hearing me. Just because things got weird there for a second. So I'm just going to document this here. Yep, it looks like. Are you guys still around? Is chat working? Please tell me. Okay, yes, good. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to document this real quick and get a post out because this is good data. So again, lowest number since 2012. That's just crazy. Let me just pop this over here. All right, we'll go subs only because that's how we're going to start doing it with these data points. All right, I want to benefit the people who benefit this community. So that's cool. So I think this is good. We want to see house prices coming down. This is great. We get JOLTS data at 9 o'clock, so we got about 45 minutes until that, along with consumer confidence. So we're going to try and stick around till then. Let's jump over here real quick. I want to talk about Bitcoin. Let's go back to where we were talking about Bitcoin banned and Dan Tapiero. I think that's a good segue here. So he said, in the follow-up for the people's comments, yes, Bitcoin is effectively banned for most practical purposes on the mainland. Not necessarily Hong Kong. It's easier there, but even then it's getting hard, guys. Trading Bitcoin on exchanges, banned. The Chinese government outlawed all crypto exchange operations in September of 2021. Platforms like Binance and Huobi, I can't remember how to say this anymore, had to exit Chinese mainland users. Crypto mining banned. China banned Bitcoin mining activities in mid-2021 due to energy consumption concerns and broader financial control motives. Again, they're just trying to close out their economy to the world and remove the exit ramps. Holding Bitcoin privately, technically not banned. Individuals can legally own Bitcoin as virtual property under Chinese law, but they cannot legally trade it. They cannot legally use it as a payment. There is no legally recognized infrastructure for buying, selling, or custodial services. Any public promotion or facilitation of Bitcoin transaction risk prosecutions. CBDC, they've got their central bank digital currency push. China's aggressively rolling out the digital yuan. They've been trying to. It's not going anywhere else, though. And Bitcoin is seen as a threat to that ecosystem, both economically and ideologically. Summary, you can technically own Bitcoin inside of China, but you cannot legally buy, sell, or mine or transact through any formal channels. Practical access to Bitcoin is crushed, even though they do mine Bitcoin in China. I can't remember if it's I think it might be third place. It could be second place for overall hash rate. We're way beyond them, but they're not. You're not allowed to, but they do. Practical access to Bitcoin is crushed. This makes a de facto ban for financial use, even if private hodling in the shadows is still possible. Strategic implication, this is exactly why Chinese capital is still forced into gold, real estate, foreign assets, and things like their shitty 10-year bond, guys. Everybody's trying to get out of it in China, but they're still now, look at this. Wow. Look at this. On the monthly candle, guys, we're going to have our worst monthly candle close on the 10-year bond in the history of China. In the history, we're looking to have the worst monthly close. That is not a good sign at all. At all. Okay. Wow. So again, their capital markets are pretty fucked, guys. And this is nuts. This is nuts. Getting ready to have the worst 10-year return. People are so desperate right now in China that they're willing to buy a government bond, a 10-year bond, and get 1.63% interest in return because they believe the economy is falling apart so badly. That is fucking crazy. So yeah, there's very few outlets, and I think that the black market, shadow market for Bitcoin purchases is going to grow exponentially, as people are probably getting worried about the price of gold and just how whether or not it will again drop harder. And again here, because again, you can only have so much. If China's all the inflows, somebody will arbitrage that play and they'll outflow that shit and they'll sell it off into other countries and they'll drop the price. And so even this won't be a safe haven because of the controlled environment that China has. Vivek says China's money supply is exploding. This liquidity will flow into Bitcoin. He's 100% right. Again, money's flowing. Gold went first. It was an indicator. And now Bitcoin is next. Mike Alfred said the Bitcoin network is only creating approximately 3,150 new Bitcoin per week. MicroStrategy has bought over 15,000 of those this last week. So they're buying 5x the weekly supply based on that 1 week. And I could see them, again, MicroStrategy's earnings are going to be, I think, Thursday. And we'll make sure to do that here. But I think that could be fascinating to see what it looks like going forward. The synthetic halvening, yeah, we're going to talk about that too, Sawyer. It's the MicroStrategy, whatever 21, Jack Mahler's thing, all these, and Cantor Fitzgerald, all these things are leading to crazy amounts of Bitcoin purchasing. Grant Cardone buying 100 million BTC. I'm sure a lot of people will be. Especially in the West, right? And it just makes it to where we're going to be a part of the new financial system, and it's great. This is what you should want to see. Breaking, MasterCard launches a global stablecoin payment system supporting wallets, cards, merchant settlements, and on-chain remittances. Look at all this. So again, that tie-in with the stablecoin system is great. The stablecoin ecosystem is going to end up helping Bitcoin, and it's going to end up helping America. I put, will the Democratic governor veto this bill? It looks highly likely that they will. So Arizona was getting ready to pass. They actually passed, I believe, in the House and the Senate, and now it's off to the governor's desk. This bill, I don't think it's going to pass. We'll see what happens. It sounds like the governor is politically opposed to everything Bitcoin and capitalism in nature. So I don't think that's going to make it. We've got $11 trillion BlackRock CIO says institutional investors are focused on Bitcoin right now. All other cryptos are a distant second. I 100% agree. Let's listen.
I'm not a deep enough student of kind of the institutional ecosystems in the other coins right now, but in terms of the conversations that we've had with institutional investors, they are really largely focused on Bitcoin right now, particularly in this environment. Ethereum is still a distant second.
Distant second.
Yeah.
So we're not even talking about revenue generating protocols or anything like that.
And remember, we're talking about the institutional investors who are broadly in 60-40 equity bond portfolios and looking to figure out what the new sources of return and diversification will be for them. They want both of those.
It's going to be MicroStrategy. It's going to be Bitcoin. It just makes sense, guys. Nobody cares about the shit coins. People have been saying this most of this cycle, at least the people I listen to have been, and I've been saying it too. Shit coins are not going to be as important this cycle. There's just so many of them. I don't know if there's 30 million or something. Like there's a crazy number of shit coins that people have put out there in order to be able to try and steal money from other people. I just don't think they're going to do well. What is CEP? Is that a shit coin or is it a stock? $1 million Bitcoin is coming sooner than we think. I think that's very possible, Sawyer. I really do.
And that's what's bringing them to private markets. It's bringing them to Bitcoin specifically right now.
Yeah.
Agreed. 100% agree. Sebastian Ski, haven't seen him too much lately, but last week the miners nicely outperformed Bitcoin. I'm sure we'll see this multiple times again, or see this multiple times again in the weeks and months ahead. So he's saying that we're going to see outperformance in Bitcoin miners versus Bitcoin, which is great. We saw just a little bit of that in Marathon. He put strategy in here as a miner. I like the fact that he did that, actually. And then again, he shows Iron in here and CleanSpark. So the ones I own: Bitcoin, Marathon, Strategy, Iron, and CleanSpark. Now, they're not the ones that outperform the most. The really small, shittier ones that have been destroyed the most outperform the most. And that's probably a pretty normal pattern. But those aren't the ones I'm wrapping myself into. I want to stick with the premium, premier, the ones that hold the most Bitcoin, the ones that are larger in scale and size. Again, I've got options on a lot of these, or 2x leverage funds. So I'm going to be able to see those same kind of returns that people are seeing with the shittier ones, but I'll have the confidence of the fact that, they're not the shitty ones. Howard Lutnick had an interview yesterday talking about Bitcoin. He loves it. I'd encourage you to watch it. I think
what is Bitcoin like?
It's 16 minutes and 40 seconds. You should check it out if you have some time. Jelly, downward trend broken, range lows reclaimed, new all-time highs next. 100% right. This is exactly what's happening. And if you look at actually the 3-day chart in the bottom right corner, you'll see how we perfectly bounced off the 100 moving average and then found support on the 50 average in purple here, and then are trying to break through this resistance zone, which we'll get once we get above the 96,300 range and start to turn that into support. It's off to the races. So I 100% agree with that person here. Let's listen real quickly. ETF issuer, Bitwise. Let's listen to them talk. I love this guy. He's great. I can't remember his name. I never can for some reason, but he's wonderful. Let's listen to him.
4-year cycle. Is it over?
Yeah.
Woo!
It's over.
Okay, hold on. Explain.
It probably is.
So my view of the 4-year cycle is you have
in regard to the impact of the 4-year cycle, the level of new issuance is probably inconsequential compared to like purchases from strategy, government, states, pensions. It's just not the same anymore. I think it's over. I agree.
a catalyst that brings new pools of capital in. So 2011, it was the launch of Coinbase. Retail investors could buy Bitcoin, new capital, then leverage builds up and eventually it pops. 2015, the introduction of Ethereum. 2019, DeFi. 2023, it was Grayscale winning its lawsuit in March against the SEC. We're going to get ETFs bringing in capital. The reason I think it's probably not going to play out over 4 years is I think that's a longer inflow of capital than retail hot ball of money, which was the past 3. And then secondly, we have yet another of those catalysts in November, which is the election completely changing the game in terms of institutional adoption. So even if the ETF-driven cycle would have built up, leveraged, and popped and receded, we have this second tidal wave that's just so much bigger than that first one. It's going to overwhelm it. So will there be, pullbacks? We're seeing one now as leverage comes out of the system, of course. But the election was such a sea change that it's like it doesn't matter. Yes, there may be this natural thing, but it's just going to get bulldozed over. That doesn't mean we've repealed pullbacks, but I think this cycle is going to be much longer than people think. I definitely don't think this pullback is the end. I think 2025 will be a great year. I think 2026 will be a great year. I think 2027 will be a great year. And we'll see about 2028.
Can somebody look up Grok? I didn't realize what his ticker symbol was. I didn't really pay attention to it. I assumed the NAV was too high. Can somebody look in Grok and see what the net asset value is for CEP right now? Or if you have like some kind of ticker or website. I'm assuming it's really high. That's why I didn't care about it. So Daniel Lee, hey, tagged you on a post yesterday with Richard Byworth and Bitcoin Bram podcast. What Richard said in the video will resonate with you a lot, I believe. I'll check it out for sure, and then maybe we'll bring it up tomorrow. We'll launch under ticker XXI, but CEP is currently the ticker. It's trading under, so I would be worried about it. I'd be worried about what the NAV is. Backed by Tether and SoftBank Group, 21 is expected to launch with over 42,000 Bitcoin and a mission to maximize Bitcoin ownership. Per share co-founder Jack Mallers will lead 21 CEP. Market seems pretty relaxed today. Everything seems pretty neutral. Jesse, what are your expectations for the Fed rate cuts? I don't think they will happen in May, but I think they should. It's only a week from now, a little over a week. Richard Bram pod was great. Yeah, I'll check that out for sure. That's interesting. Alexander Didovin, Jesse, any interest in GameStop? Nah, not at all. I think it's a dying company. I do think they should buy Bitcoin. It'll benefit them. But I 100% agree with him here that we're going to see the halving event is going to be like a ripple and in a wave that's going to be bigger. It's going to be institutional. It's going to be governments. It's going to be pensions. It's going to be all of the things that are going to be consuming Bitcoin. And I do still believe that we could see a 50 to 60% reduction in Bitcoin's price action after we peak. But again, I don't think it's just going to be halving driven. I think that there'll maybe be some ripple of halving, but it'll be so inconsequential it won't matter anymore. Bitcoin Magazine says Coinbase to launch new fund to offer yield on Bitcoin. This was just the other day. I think that's scary. But again, I think it's a natural course of action. They just need to make sure that they're not leveraging with it, and they're very clear on how they're doing that. There's always risk, though. When you're generating yield, guys, there's always risk. Bitcoin historian Justin Energy Firm Alliance Resources buys more Bitcoin, bringing total to over 500 BTC worth nearly 50 million. BTC treasuries going mainstream. I listened to, I think it's, Fred Thiel with Mara the other day. I got to post that video. It was so good. He was talking about, he's just a really brilliant man. It makes me very confident about Mara. He was talking about, AI and infrastructure versus, Bitcoin mining infrastructure and how these two can kind of work together to be able to stabilize total energy being pulled from the grid. And then also, again, just the ability for Bitcoin miners. He said large Bitcoin mining facilities aren't as good and aren't as easy to work with as smaller ones that are strategically placed next to key power facilities where you can get really low power consumption. And again, you can maybe have agreements where you turn off up to 5% of the supply to help the grid for peaker plants. Just really brilliant stuff. Very impressed with him. Very, very impressed with him. But yeah, if you guys have that NAV on CEP, throw it out if somebody can try and find that. Man Mahindra, with total market cap, it looks like you did. You're a rock star, bro. With total market cap, NAV calculation suggesting pre-dilution NAV of about $4 billion, but an effective NAV of around 108 million due to dilution. So what is it? Do you know the percentage off the top of your head? And this did not happen. So again, Pierre Polivier, or whatever his last name is, Pierre was pro-Bitcoin. I don't think we're going to find that with Mark Carney. I like this. Jack Mullers, you're not late to Bitcoin. We're going to play this real quick. It's a good one.
Listen, I hear a lot about, I'm late to Bitcoin. I've said this before. That's a problem with your ego.
Don't ask me why Jack Mullers does a video podcast from his closet. I can't tell you.
Saying you're late to Bitcoin is an ego test because Bitcoin doesn't keep attendance. Bitcoin doesn't keep time.
Or why his closet is empty. I can't tell you.
You're late is because you're comparing yourself to someone else. So my message to you is stop comparing yourself to your friends. Stop comparing yourself to your siblings. Stop comparing yourself to your coworker.
All right, real quickly. Somebody said bell, so we'll get to it. 1 second here. We get up here. We'll go back a second. Dunk, dunk.
There's Jim. To Jim's right is Regina Gilgan. David, his longtime executive producer. Cliff Mason, his nephew. His daughter, Emma. Heather Gaines, another producer on Mad Money.
Maybe I went too far.
David, just how much teamwork goes into making that show happen.
Every single day.
Ding, 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 ding. All right, so I'll pull over here real quick. We'll get this up in front of us. So that's what we looked at like pre-market. Amazon down about 2%, Apple down 0.61%, NVIDIA down 1%, Tesla just barely red. We'll see. It looks like I think we're dropping a little bit into the actual market. It looks like some sectors are picking up. We're seeing Tesla it's down 0.13 right now. Not too crazy. We'll see. This probably needs to update a little bit, but it doesn't look much different than this right now, honestly. MicroStrategy's up 0.5%. Mara's up 1.7%. CleanSpark's up 1%. Iron's up 0.5%. Rest of the market's kind of doing okay. SoFi doing really well, guys. Up 7% right now. Talk of massive membership growth in SoFi. Hood up 2.7%. Palantir down 0.16%. ARKG up 0.5%. HIMS up 30. Yeah, I haven't pulled up HIMS, but I've heard it's doing really, really good. Congrats to everybody on HIMS that owns it. Martin Pilda said NAV is 2.81, so that's steep. So the new one is 2.81, and who knows, maybe it could go even higher than that. I still like the NAV with MicroStrategy probably over that. Do they have that right here? 2.1 versus 2.81, so it's a little bit cheaper. And again, it's just such a bigger vehicle and it has more liquidity. So I probably like it more. Oh, wow, they've got all these trackers. I didn't know that. Simler's on here. Look at that. Metaplanet's on here. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to have to play with this a little bit more today. That's really cool. Let's go back over here, though, and look at the heat map, see what it's turning into. Tesla's already up, guys, 0.17%. MicroStrategy, and again, miner's still doing all right. Yeah, market seems to be doing okay this morning. SoFi doing well. HIM's doing really well. But overall in all, the market isn't doing too bad. PayPal's up today, 3.35%. It's still at 66.93, a shitty number. But still, it's nice to see some areas. Consumer services is outperforming. Process industries, distribution services, at least one of them. But there's some areas where, it's just a little red. The Magnificent Seven not doing great, but the rest of the market not doing too bad. S&P's down 0.24%. Nasdaq's down 0.32%. Russell's down 0.26%. Nothing really going on. Let's take a look here. So we got about 25 minutes until the next set of economic data. Again, JOLTS, job openings, and then consumer confidence, which I'm sure is going to be horrible. What's the link? Yeah, I'll give that to you. This is actually, it's this tracker right over here. It's the Sailor, it's the strategy tracker, but they also have more to it. So again, you can get the strategy, you can get Metaplanet, you can get Simler Scientific, you can get Cooler in here. I'm assuming CEP or XXI will come in here shortly as well. But again, you can get in here and kind of see, and I'm sure they got like all the good stuff. Do we see NAV? Yeah, NAV Premium 2.54. So Metaplanet is a 2.54. I wish they had one for Mara. I wish they did a similar kind of a calculation for some of these miners. They're a little bit more difficult to quantify, but still, it would be nice. The NAV Premium Basic and Diluted on Simler Scientific is 1.11 and 1.35. That doesn't necessarily mean they're a better deal. It might just not be traded as much, and it might not be considered quite the same way as what we see with a strategy or a Metaplanet. Again, as more of these come online, they could see their NAV get eaten up if they're not popular. Yeah, let me see. Oh, this is the basic one. I want to go back. I want to go back here to this one, the advanced view. Or, maybe it's just Sailor Tracker. No, right here. Okay. So diluted for a strategy right now, it says it's 2.159, and then NAV Premium Basic is 1.92. So these are pretty low levels. Again, it can get a lot higher. I think we could see a 3x again. Google smashed earnings almost 40% and flat. Yeah, but Tesla didn't smash earnings, and they're doing a lot better. Isn't that funny how that works? People look towards the future of the company and what its opportunities are, not just financial statements. That's kind of how it works. Hopefully more people start to understand that. Let's look at the CNN Fear and Greed Index again. And then I'm going to hop back over here. Eric Trump says crypto payments will be allowed for Trump Tower Dubai. Cool. So we've dropped one tick here to 36. We're still well within fear. Nowhere near the other areas here. All right, back to Jack.
Stop comparing yourself, especially to people on the internet that you've never met, and you don't even know how much of their life that they're selling to you is real. Right. Stop comparing.
He's right, guys. Like, even myself, I give you really raw. Like, I don't hide much with you guys, but there's probably still impressions that I try to give that are more positive than reality. It is how this game works. So you've got to understand that, like, what you see all the time and how glorious it is and the beautiful pictures of life and balance sheets and all these things, they're glorified. People on social media show you the best version of themselves, not all the horrible shit. At least most people won't show you just regular everyday life. So just remember that. It's important to understand that. It's important to think about that. I'll look at that tag. Thanks, man.
Comparing yourself to anybody. You are not late to Bitcoin. You are right on time because it's not a competition and it's not an ego test. Bitcoin, at the end of the day, is the only fixed supply thing you can own, period. You're never late. Because here's the thing, guys, money is just your time and your energy in an abstracted form, okay? We all get up and we do valuable stuff for people. Okay, whether that's mowing a lawn, starting a business, being an accountant, helping someone with their taxes, making people sandwiches for lunch, we create value for those around us. In return for that value, we get money. So money represents your time, your energy, your effort, your labor, your work. Okay? At the end of the day, whether you know it or not, you have to make a decision of how you want that time, that energy, that work, that effort, that labor to be stored. If you store it in something like dollars, you're at risk of them printing more dollars and making your time, energy, effort, labor worth less. Okay? If you store it in something like Bitcoin, it could be volatile, but you're never at risk of anyone debasing it, making it worth less. In fact, over time, your time and energy just becomes more valuable. So you're never late. Every single day, I make a conscious decision to adopt Bitcoin, because every day I get up and I work hard for the people around me, for my employees, for my investors, especially for my customers. And every day I could take that time and energy and put it in dollars, put it in Yu-Gi-Oh cards, put it in Rubik's Cubes. I choose Bitcoin. So Bitcoin doesn't keep attendance. Bitcoin's not about ego. Stop comparing yourself to other people.
Love it.
Wake up, be valuable to the world, and store it in a place that matters.
Fuck yeah.
You're not late.
I love that. That was great. Jesse says Amazon is showing tariff adjustment. They should show margin gain on each product. Transparency. I like that, actually. The background music was cringe. I don't know if he created that. No, he did. Actually, you're right. I liked it. But people do that. He probably could have toned down the volume a little bit. But the core of his messaging is what matters, right? The rest is literally noise. Jeff Park, the story of Bitcoin in 2025 will be the same as it was in 2024. Adoption will be led by ETFs and corporates, but the buyers have just gotten bigger. The balance sheets have just gotten hungrier, and the supply has gotten tighter, and so the stakes have gotten existential. I agree. And again, 15,355, 5x the weekly supply. So for the entire world. So just think of it this way. MicroStrategy bought 5 weeks of new supply for the entire world in 1 week. And you're not going to see that slow down. Let's look here. Michael Saylor, future of Bitcoin. I feel like we just jumped. I fucking hate it when that happens. Let me go back here real quick. I want to refresh. I hate it when my bookmarks auto adjust. It's such a pain in the ass. And then you have to refresh to get them back in order to be able to get them in the appropriate order that you had before. So it's definitely not my favorite part of X, but I don't want to miss all of these because there's so many good posts on here. So right here, I'm going to play. Oh, why the fuck did it just do it again? I'm going to try it one more time. Son of a bitch. I want to show this one. Let me see if I can get to it. And I'm just going to click on it as fast as I fucking can. Right here. There we go. All right.
Remains 210,000 and driven by institutional adoption and global liquidity expansion.
He's saying... He said 210,000 is what he believes the price of Bitcoin is going to get to this year.
For ETH, our target price was based on ETH to BTC, the BTC to ETH ratio, which was 0.05. We still maintain that as well, reflecting the community's efforts to address value leakage problem. I mean, granted, not everything turned out the way we expected so far this year, especially the macro outlook and the market reaction to it. But I think in hindsight, I think it was actually a healthy correction, which have paved the way for the further re-rating of the Bitcoin as a mainstream asset.
I think our mission so far this month has been trying to figure out, was there anything broken in the market? Let it be confidence or some kind of global order, and how these assets are.
It's always nice. I do like to listen to Squawk Box Asia to get some kind of interpretation of what the Asian markets think about what's going on in the United States.
Are positioned in people's portfolio. And we were just talking about the comparison between gold and Bitcoin. What happened this month? Because gold ran, Bitcoin didn't. Now it's trying to catch up. Is that what's happening? And do you think Bitcoin will outrun gold for the rest of this year?
Yeah, so I think Bitcoin has two faces, digital gold and risk-on assets.
Yep.
And most of the time, Bitcoin behaves like a risk-on assets.
Yep.
Because it's a network whose value comes from the user adoption and network effect, very similar to an internet company, for instance. But it was during a crisis that the Bitcoin behaves like a gold. Because it's designed after the physical gold in terms of like a digital scarcity and so forth. But these moments are rare. So it only happened when the market has doubts about the stability of the U.S. dollar-dominated financial system, like when Russia invaded Ukraine in early 2022, or when Silicon Valley banks collapsed in early 2023, and then most recently in the aftermath of the Liberation Day tariff announcements. So I think the Bitcoin is just doing what it does, which is, sometimes it acts like a risk-on asset most of the time, but during the crisis, it acts like a gold, and then that's what.
And you can't, and that's just such a beautiful thing, honestly. The fact that it can do both of these things is amazing. Let's listen to Michael Saylor here real quick, too, talking about Bitcoin and the future of it. Again, just beautiful things being covered here.
Bitcoin is the one universally acknowledged commodity. If we let banks in the United States use Bitcoin and custody it and sell it and buy it and loan against it, if the United States government begins to hold it in a strategic reserve, the beneficiary will be America.
If you could talk to President Trump and say...
Actually, I'll probably skip this one. I think I played it. I'll just read the highlights. Banks will start lending against your BTC. The U.S. government will hold Bitcoin, and big tech companies will embrace Bitcoin. You will have Bitcoin on your iPhone. I agree with all of those statements. The Bitcoin historian, Czech central bank presentation just compared Bitcoin to gold. This will echo globally. I agree. There's just more and more of this all the time. I'll skip that one. That's just a price prediction. I've been 100% right on this, by the way. And I did update this later on to say that I don't even think we'll drop out of the red box. And if you look down in the bottom right corner, we have not. Breaking PayPal with 434 million users is partnered with Coinbase to advance stablecoin payments. Great. About fucking time. It doesn't make me want to invest in them. So some of these are older, and we've seen them. I think that's plenty. So let's go over here and see what we have not covered today. Transportation and shipping. Let's just take a look and see if there's anything interesting here. Craig Fuller, a prominent trucking insurance executive, told me that he estimates more than 40% of truck drivers in the U.S. are first-generation immigrants, and that 10% of the total truck driver population do not speak English proficiently. That's kind of problematic, and the Trump administration was looking to actually remove truck drivers that don't speak English because of just the issues that can arise in their lack of understanding of the vehicles they're driving and everything, their ability to communicate with others. So I think you'll see some of them go away, which might help because we're going to see some pain in the trucking industry from reduction, I think, in transportation. Somebody said, can you pull the chart of Hood? When I try to pull it up on Discord, it pulls up Riot. Oh, yeah, I can take a look. Maybe I'll have to fix that. 1 second here. Let me just find, where did I put Hood? Got it somewhere, I think. Yeah, you know what? Let me just pull up here. I'll pull up Riot, and then I will go over here. Oh, it does say Hood. That's why. Let me fix it. That would do it. Let me save this real quick. Probably got overwritten at some point. Yeah. I should probably actually redraw this. Should actually probably redraw this because it has changed. So let's just do that real quickly while we're here. So I'm going to actually move some things around. I'm probably going to do this over a shorter time frame now, just to confirm the next leg. I could still keep it drawn down to here, but I'm actually going to move it to what kind of the next major low to high to low. And so this is more what we're looking at over the short term, and it can go higher than this. It can overshoot the .618 pretty easily, but we could see this thing go to 77, I think, without it being too crazy for this next leg. So I've saved that. That's updated now. HIMS is up 22% now. Looks like it's coming down a little bit. Let's pull up HIMS real quick. And I might jump for a second here just to get some more coffee to make it to the 9 o'clock for our next read here. So I might jump for a second. Let me pull this up, though, and I'll probably pull up CNBC. Wow, what a jump. 24% on the day. This is actually looking pretty interesting. Kind of looks like it could be a head and shoulders, though. So we do need to see this break and get above kind of the 37 range and turn that into support to feel more confident in the fact that we're going up. Otherwise, it could get ugly. I'm going to run to the bathroom because I need to, and then I'm going to go ahead and play over here and let you guys listen to these.
That's their head batteries, so the two go very well.
Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Who's my best energy guy, and he did point out to say to David, listen, our natural gas, we have more natural gas than anybody in the world. So if we can just get the machines to make it so we burn that, we will not have the problem. That you were including, yes, they're building coal plants, they're building nuclear plants, and we are eventually going to be building nuclear. But I do think that we should mention that our source of natural gas, which, by the way, the Chinese are rejecting, is plentiful, at least.
Without a doubt. What you're talking about, of course, as we were discussing yesterday, where are we in the AI race? Well, clearly we're ahead in terms of our chip design with NVIDIA. We're most likely still ahead when it comes to large language models, even despite the advances of DeepSeek. But given Huawei and what may be this new chip, even if you need more of them, the point is that the Chinese have the ability to create more power more quickly than we do.
Absolutely, because they don't really have...
And your point is that natural gas, obviously, in its abundance here, it's not like we don't have the underlying fuel, but we still need to create the grid and the generation plants that can use that natural gas and others to power the data centers that use the NVIDIA chips that will keep us ahead, so to speak.
Yeah, well, what's incredible is that we never thought we'd have to grow the grid. So no one ever thought, well, hold on, we need equipment on this.
No, now, I mean, some of the estimates are the enormity of them, what in terms of what needs to happen over the next 5 years.
No, it's big. It's big. And by the way, the heat issue is also very big.
Meantime, Brent's headed for its worst month since 21.
Unbelievable.
Down 13%.
And we should say Mr. Brent's out talking to Howard Ludwig today, Brian Sullivan.
Yes.
It's really going to be great. By the way, no one knows what he's going to say, including perhaps himself.
Including Howard, yeah, he may not.
No, I mean, look, everything's so on the fly. I wish people knew. I didn't know Besson was going to be speaking. All I knew is he's been in the business for 35 years.
35 years. Not all of them that good, but 35 years. I was looking at his performance numbers. Yeah.
How did he do? Easy come, easy go.
Look up his AUM over time. It's an interesting chart.
He was a hedge fund manager.
Yes.
He made some money for himself.
Was he long Regeneron going in?
I don't know how his fund holders
He doesn't trade.
Yes.
But Regeneron, first guest that we had on Mad Money.
Yep. Down a bit today. Watch bonds, 10 years south of 4.2. We got some international trade numbers. Deficit in March, another record, of course. We'll get conference board and some jolts in about 12 minutes. Stay with us.
Back. Oh, sorry. I left you with a gray screen. Sorry, guys. All right, let's get back over here. All right, move that out of the way. Maybe turn that to mute as well. So we got about, less than 10 minutes, 9 minutes now until we get that next set of economic data. If you guys want to pull up any charts in the meantime, let me know. Hood's earnings on Wednesday. Yeah, I think that's right. Let's look over here real quick. So yeah, Wednesday, we get Robinhood, ADP. ADP is one I'm really interested in too, just because, again, they're like the massive payment system for most companies, like a huge number. I don't even know what the number is. It's a lot. And then Microsoft, Meta. There's a lot of earnings. PayPal's tomorrow, SoFi, Starbucks. And here, these are just my favorites. Let's go to here. Let's see what we got. Oh, here, let me move this off the screen, and I will log in real quick. And then I'll bring it back. 1 second here. It's being weird. Why is it being weird? There we go. There we go. Okay. Bring it back. All right, let's bring up the calendar. All right, and let me see, how is this sorted? By market cap, by popularity. That's probably good. So yeah, lots of big stuff coming in the next few days. And we should look, actually, earnings. We did get earnings data from Tom Lee. Let me just I'll show you briefly what this is. So Here's what we got for earnings-related data. MicroStrategy's Thursday. That's really the big one I care about. But 181 companies reporting this week, 194 companies that have reported so far, 39% of the S&P overall. Overall, 75% beating estimates, and those that beat are beating by a median of 6%. Is this the most latest? Yeah, it is. Okay, good. So still looking very similar to what we saw yesterday. It might have been 73 or 72. So 3/4 of companies are beating estimates by a median of 6%. That's really good. And the ones that are missing by half that. So this is good. The earnings don't look bad at all. Who's doing the best? Let's just take a look here. I don't look at this too often, or I don't show it to you guys too often, but we'll take a look. So cyclicals actually did really well. Let's look here as a percent of beating. So those did well. Industrials did really good. Technology did really good. Communication services, basic materials, really this entire section did well. Well, outside of consumer discretionary. So that's not surprising, is it? Is it surprising to anybody here that if there's things that you don't need, you're not buying them? That's kind of the point I've been making that's going to help us with inflation and consumer spending, is that if consumers don't want to buy shit because it's too expensive, they're not going to buy it. So consumer discretionary getting butchered makes sense to me. Yeah, that makes sense. Let me know if you guys see anything else in the data points that you're curious about. Financials did really well. That's probably why we're seeing, again, companies like SoFi doing really well today, up 7.4%. Congratulations to everybody in SoFi. That's fucking awesome. Real estate, 88% beats. Isn't that fascinating? People are still winning in real estate, even though volumes are so low. Energy, not doing as well. That's probably going to make sense for a while. Healthcare doing really good. Consumer staples, so-so. Utilities not doing good. So again, so utilities you'd expect to start doing better when you have downturns in energy where prices are getting a lot lower. Utilities usually can do all right and increase their margins. They're not there yet, and energy's not doing well. But yeah. Otherwise, though, we're not seeing any chaos yet, guys. I took profits on Hims, Leaps. Oh, if you got 30-40% today, you got to take a profit, bro. That's smart. I mean, those are the kind of days, if the underlying does that well and you don't take a profit, you're a little crazy. So very smart move, Matthew. Very, very smart. Let me look here. What else do I have? I got India. Okay. So there is a lot of stuff going on with India still, and Pakistan. Pakistan defense minister says military incursion by India is imminent. That was a day ago, so we'll see whether or not that amounts to much. Tanvi Ratna, I like her. She's great. Where is she from? I mean, India, obviously. But geopolitical analyst and engineer working on the chessboard between emerging tech, economy, state, power, founder, policy 4.0, worked with on Capitol Hill, yada, yada. But she was talking about how the terror attack on Hindus in Kashmir, ESP, amidst VP Vance's visit, has flared up one of the world's most sensitive regions. India is planning a decisive retaliation, and the U.S. administration has offered full support. They just show it throughout history how there's been problems here with India and terrorist attacks and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. Oh, and this was a video I was talking about where, some of this is manufactured, but it's talking about how 14. Here, let me kill this. India's economy. Talking again, you can even hear the AI voice, but talking about how India is becoming larger and more powerful and what they're looking to do with their infrastructure and all that stuff. I strongly believe that India is going to be one of our closest allies in the not too distant future. Do I have any opinion on Hood earnings? I think they're going to do really well. I think they'll do really well. That just makes sense. Let me see. I think I have a new prediction on here. Did I put it on here? Maybe I didn't put it on here. I guess I should go back and show it. I'll show it later. Let's see. Tesla. Got anything new for Tesla? And again, we got about 3 minutes and we'll get that new economic data. Man Mahindra says Tesla plans to deliver its first semi-trucks within 6 months, aiming for 50,000 units to be sold annually by 2026. They've been ramping for a while now. I strongly believe this is coming. I think this is good stuff. And then again, Tesla releases a video of the semi-factory progress. Let's listen to this one real quick. It's only a minute.
I'm Dan Priestley, and I lead the Semi program here at Tesla. Welcome to the inside of the Semi Factory up here on the Gigafactory Nevada campus. We've been spending the last several months constructing this building, mostly with the walls, all of the pillars and columns that you see behind me, laying concrete, putting the roof on, and now it's time to populate the building. This factory is designed with
Guys, if you don't believe in Tesla, ugh.
Annual capacity of 50,000 units a year. So over the next several quarters, we're going to be industrializing this factory, installing the equipment, and preparing for high volume production. First units are set to be on the line by the end of this year, and we'll be ramping the factory throughout 2026. The Tesla Semi is designed to be directly swapped in for diesel trucks without having to compromise. This is an instrumental product in helping advance Tesla's mission. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming through the next year, not just here in the factory, but also on the product itself. Over the last few years, our pilot semis have been out in the world, operating in fleets such as Tesla's own internal operations, showcasing electric trucking is ready for scale.
That's awesome. There's just so many areas of Tesla that are firing off. Farzad said, how is this legal? So the lead Delaware, this is the judge that fucked Elon Musk with this pay package, says Judge Kathleen McCormick has selected herself to rule on the case that directly impacts her own power. This comes after a constitutional challenge to Senate Bill 21, alleging that the bill limits the power of Chancery Court judges while challenging Dropbox's decision to leave the state. This is insane. This is insane, but this is why everybody's leaving Delaware. Close over 290, 300 comes quick. I agree. I actually did buy more Tesla yesterday too. I sold MSTX. I sold 1,500 shares of MSTX earlier in the day when it was up on the day, and then I bought back in when it was down like 4.5%, so about a 6% flip on it, and I bought 500, so about a third of that back in, and then I also bought TSLL down pretty significantly. I think it was 4.5%, 5% on the day yesterday. I bought about $10,000 worth of that too, bringing my total holdings, I think, getting closer to $400,000. Probably right, maybe even over $400,000 on TSLL right now. So I'm sitting pretty good with that 2x leveraged fund. Dalton, new Tesla Model Y deliveries have begun in Korea. So that was yesterday, or the day before yesterday. So that's great too. And then again, I don't know if I showed this one yesterday, but I had a friend who was just rear-ended in a car accident with somebody going 40, and they were fucked up. If they were in this car, this Tesla Model Y, they would have done so much better. This was hit at 65 miles an hour. You can't even tell what it is from the back of this fucking car. But these people walked away from this. The driver and the passenger walked away from this. And can you imagine what it would have been like if you would have been in any other vehicle? It's just astonishing. And I don't know if I already showed this, but I love the look. I have 5 Teslas now, which is 4 more than I had a year ago. But I tell you what, if they do this in this kind of design on the S, I'm probably buying one of those too. I don't think I can help myself. Jesse, is it worth taking losses on some Tesla stock and buy back with TSLL? I think it would have been better to do that before it started pumping, but I do think we're still pretty low. I mean, we're still down. What are we down right now? We're down 42% from where it was at the high in December. Middle of December. So over a period of 4 months now, roughly, we're down 42%. And really, that's no different from where we were let's just look over here. That's no different from where we were in December of 2020. So do I still think you have a really asymmetric upside? Yes, I do. Do I think it would have been better to buy those calls or the TSLL leveraged fund at 250 or at 225? Yes, I do. But I don't think it's a bad price right now. And honestly, I think the upside is coming pretty quick. So even I am kind of taking a look here. If we get a decent drop, let's see where we are right now in Tesla today. Oh, it's just finding that 50 moving average on the 100. I want to buy more. I might buy more today. So I'm looking to buy TSLL today. So if that answers your question, I still like it. And I'm probably going to do that real quick right now. I'm just going to buy it just a little bit, real quick here. And then I'll start looking at comments some more too. Oh God, our data. Let's get over here. Let's look at our data points, guys. And maybe maybe things are falling more. Let me just see where we're at from this data read. I do want to get a little bit more though. I'm just going to do that real fast. So about another 500 contracts, $5,000. I only have like 25,000 in cash right now, so I don't have a ton. All right, Jolt job openings, 7.19. So they're closing, guys. The gap is closing in job openings. Job quits are higher than expected. That's actually kind of shocking. Consumer confidence is an 86. It also is well under the previous, well under consensus and forecast. So yeah, let's just take a look at job openings here. So there's less jobs available. This is the stuff that's going to move Powell, right? The fact that we've seen one of our second lowest, 7.1 thousand was the lowest that we had here in September of 2024. So these are the lowest reads that we had almost since 2020. Let's listen to Rick Schmantelli real quickly. It looks like he's got something to say.
Yields moving down, 10-year yields below yesterday's lows. Now let's get to the data. Consumer confidence is the reason.
I got to say this, guys. I think that this is going to be positive. We'll see if the CME refreshes for what people are projecting, but I think the May cut is getting closer to reality. Not that it will happen, but it's probably double digit now.
These are April numbers, expecting a headline number of 88. We come in at 86.0, weakest since April of 2020. And if you look at present situation, 133.5. This is the best out of the three. This is only the weakest since SEP of 24. And if we look at expectations, 54.4. You have to go all the way back to October of 2011 to find a lower number on confidence. You know, many were wondering what was cross-fertilizing what. Equities were looking really green. Interest rates.
All right, so I actually think that's super positive and contrarian, and I think the market's thinking that too, guys. If you look over at Tesla now, Tesla's almost at break even. MicroStrategy's up 1%, Mara's up 1%, CleanSpark's down 0.35, Iron's down 1.33. But we're seeing a little bit of a bounce here, baby bounce, I think, in markets, or at least there should be, because again, seeing consumer confidence future expectations of the lowest read since 2011, 14 years ago, is a contrarian indicator, and one that I think is probably pretty positive. Let's see if the CNN fear and greed has changed at all, and then I'll check out the CME too. So it's still at 36. I don't know that this will update. This takes a while, but it says only 7% here, so it hasn't changed too much. It actually dropped a little bit. We'll see whether or not that changes. Let's see here. That we might have CNBC talking from the White House. I'm going to look over at that too. I might stick it out till 9:30, guys. I want to see this latest round of data, so it's 25 minutes from now.
This morning, one piece that is moving the markets this morning was the White House responding to a report that Amazon is planning to change its prices online to show exactly how much of the price tag is due to tariffs. Take a listen here to the White House's response.
Fuck you.
I will not speak to the president's relationships with Jeff Bezos, but I will tell you that this is certainly a hostile and political action by Amazon.
Now, Bessent did not want to offer any specific timeline as far as what to expect on trade negotiations. He was asked about that several times. He did. So
Jeff Bezos now has made a political enemy for the next over 3.5 years in the Trump administration. And maybe he thought that was the right move to do in order to save his corporation. That, again, I think is going to get hit fucking hard by all of this. Like I showed you with discretionary spending and Fundstrat. Discretionary spending is Amazon. A lot of their stuff is Amazon. I mean, it really is. Discretionary purchases are done through sites like that. They were getting done through Shein and Temu. They're going to be utterly devastated. But I don't know that that means big profits for Amazon either way. It's going to be very interesting to see. Let me look at chat here real quick. And I'm just going to kind of leave the stock heat map up while we're looking here. So let me just go up a little bit higher. I swapped Tesla for TSLL last week, JT says. I think that's a smart move. Connor H1, Jesse, is it worth taking losses? Oh, I already answered your question. EC, let me jump down to you real quick. $10 tip. Thank you for that, sir. What's wrong with Canada, our 51st state, question mark? I think that's what it's going to be. Why do they keep electing schmucks? I don't know, man. but I mean, you could ask most of Europe that too. We have any Canadians in chat? Yeah, so again, we looked at some of that data earlier. It looks like the old people are the schmucks. They want their entitlement programs, and they hate Trump, and they watch mainstream media. I think that's literally what it is, man. Nice job, Mike. What about Tesla Leaps? There are probably some good ones out there still. Sawyer Zeldner, what's everyone driving tin can smart cars needs to buy Teslas? Totally. Mike, I also bought some Tesla December 19th $500 Leaps last Wednesday. I like longer time frames, but hey, man, I think Tesla will be better. I think they'll be better at the end. And how are we doing right now? So Tesla's already up. TSLL's up 2.2%. Tesla's coming up. MicroStrategy's up almost 2%. Mara's up almost 2%. CleanSpark's up 0.23 now, and it looks like Iron is trying to get back to flat. Solana is starting to go up. We'll see whether or not Sol Strategies gets a little bit of a bump here. But yeah, all in all, I think the market is starting to do a little bit better. Today. So that's great. ICE raids at Amazon warehouses incoming. Fuck yeah, we already know some of that's happened. You're going to see more of that. Hims shorted 30% of float, could lead to a short squeeze. I think it has. That 40% pump was huge. Alexander, good call on the Cybertruck, hail-proof for storm season. Yes. Andy Zhao, I can answer that question. The overwhelming election question among age 60-plus voters, Donald Trump. I know, that was so stupid. Hippie Hank, Bitcoin over 95. Yes, sir, 95,100. This is such a good looking chart in the bottom corner, guys. It's so ready to blow. It's so ready to blow. Let's keep going, though. But what do you guys think of this Tesla, the Model S? If it looks anything like this, if they do the cyber look on the S, would you buy one? I know I would, man. I'll pick one up. Fuck it. I'll have a Cybertruck and that. I've got my new parts coming for my Cybertruck this next week. I'm stoked. It's going to look badass as fuck. I'll take a picture of it when I get it. I loved this meme right here from Mr. Funman. The longer the wait, the higher the chance next FSD is something huge. FSD 14 versus the Tesla shorts. I think that's great. Yeah, I think we looked at some of this stuff before. Again, just amazing. Look at this turned over truck. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Look at that. See, I've had my Cybertruck already save my ass once. It literally locked its brakes when I was going 35 because traffic was stopped in front of me and I was looking at my phone and not paying attention to the road. And I heard it scream just like that. Bing, 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 bing. And then it locked the brakes. Like I went to go press the brakes, but it had already done it. So this is amazing. Look at the maneuver here. That is like beyond human interaction, and it was so perfect. It steered perfectly into the lane, corrected where it needed to, and then stabilized without overcorrecting on what appears to be a rainy road. This looks like a rainy road to me. Yeah. Look at that move. Look at that. And then it just stabilizes and then slowly gets back over once it sees that the debris is clear. Dude, does it have to be on FSD to avoid hazards? No. Well, no. There's some emergency functions in there. Because when I was driving, my personal experience, when I was driving going 35 and I almost hit somebody, the car just fucking locked its brakes. I was technically driving it, but it locked the brakes. So no, I think some of the features can kick in no matter what, but they're better, I think, with FSD. Reflex is like a mongoose, right? Just fucking amazing. Joe Bhakti, I like this guy. He's really cool, and I've seen him on some of my posts recently here too, responding. He's a good dude. Tesla can cut Uber price per ride in half, which would roughly tenfold the TAM, total addressable market. Then it can still make 3x Uber's margin. After that, it can cut the price in half again with multi-million robo-taxis on the road within 3 years after crossing 10,000-mile interventionless threshold likely this year. This is not about capturing Uber's TAM. That can happen within 36 months from now. It's about building and owning the future transportation infrastructure of the world. The potential scale exceeds 200 million robo-taxis by 2040. I love Joe. He's brilliant, and he's deep in the numbers, which is where you should be. And I think that's great. Somebody, Bowtie, your gift subscription to Bowtie's Substack is ending. Okay. I didn't realize somebody gifted me a subscription. That's cool. I better check that out. Again, and we already saw this from the Secretary, Sean Duffy, talking about just how they're trying to work with autonomous vehicles. Yeah, it looks like we're still just bouncing around chopping in markets. What do we have? So 9:30, we got more economic data. So again, economic data looking weaker, jobs looking weaker, home prices looking like the rate of inflation is declining, and then consumer confidence falling through the floor, lowest number since 2011. And I don't know why the job quits are so high. That's ridiculous. Dallas Fed Services, guys, I'm expecting pain here. I'm expecting pain here, and we'll see if there is. If there is, then this just increases the narrative against the Fed and why we should start lowering rates in order to be able to prop up the economy. I think all of today's data has screamed that. And so again, it's going to be really hard to say, oh, but tariffs are going to drive up prices when you see slowing growth all around the world and other central bankers are lowering their interest rates. It's going to be really hard to fight that narrative. I don't think it's going to work out well.
Next few months, there's going to be some choppiness.
All right, I'm actually kind of interested to see what. I don't know. Does Coca-Cola count as consumer discretionary? I'm kind of curious to see what he has to say about this. So these are the guys, they had an earnings beat. They said they expect a small amount of damage. Actually, you know what? I'm not interested so much in this. Let's see what other videos might have come out that might be interesting. Again, Howard Lutnick, guys, is going to be coming at, is going to be occurring at 1 p.m. today Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. So normally when markets dump, everybody likes to think that those dump based upon his responses. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Secretary Auto Relief. That's not really talking about much. Let me see what we have for top CEO interviews. 34 minutes ago, Anthony Noto. I kind of want to see this. I want to see this. Let's do it.
SoFi beating on the top and bottom lines, raising full-year guidance. Joining us right now, first on CNBC, is SoFi CEO Anthony Noto. It's great to see you. I don't know if we've actually had the opportunity to talk in quite a while, but let's talk about these earnings. Let's talk about how you see this economy and what it means for your business.
Yeah, we're really excited about the quarter. 2025 is off to a tremendous start. We grew revenue 33% year over year. That's an acceleration. It's our fastest growth in 5 quarters to $771 million. It's really driven by great product innovation, strong branding, leading to member growth of 34% year over year. It was the largest quarter we had in member ads at 800,000 and a 35% growth in products. So our cross-buy is really working at 32% of the products coming from cross-buy. Really strong profitability. Our EBITDA was up 46% to $210 million, also a record, and earnings were very strong. We feel like we're incredibly well positioned competitively. We're stepping on the gas. We're going to accelerate our rate of innovation, launch more products sooner, re-enter the crypto category, and really making sure we're staying in front of everything.
Good. It's good. This is the kind of shit they should be doing. I got to say, in my ranks right now, it's probably like Hood first, SoFi second, PayPal a distant third.
Everyone else in our leadership position. And I love our competitive position and think right now with the environment we're in that we're seeing really strong demand from our members. We want to meet that demand.
Well, let's talk about the lending business and then let's talk about the crypto business because I think there's a lot of folks who are fascinated.
I never understood why these guys just drifted away from crypto. I think they thought Kamala Harris was going to win, and they were worried about the regulatory crackdown from the SEC from the previous administration, and so they just drifted away from it. I think Vlad had the foresight to see that he should still be embracing it because he moved first. And but it's nice to see Anthony Noto coming online. I really like Anthony. I think he's a brilliant guy.
By both. Why don't we hit crypto first? Where are you in that journey at this point?
Well, the first thing I'd say is the regulatory environment is definitely evolving, and it's going to allow us to re-enter being able to offer crypto coins in our invest product, the ability to buy, sell, or hold cryptocurrency. And we hope to be able to do that over the next 6 months or so. In our earnings call, we'll talk about the fact that over the next 6 to 24 months, we want to enter cryptocurrency and blockchain activities in a much broader and more significant way. Again, it's dependent on the evolving regulatory environment, but so far that environment's been really positive. We want to be able to
And you have 3.5 years of that.
To offer blockchain products and crypto products across every area that we're currently in. So across lending, across paying, across investing, and as well as protecting.
Wow.
We think it's a technology more than anything else, and we can use it to allow people to pay easier at a lower cost, to pay faster, and over time be able to capture some of the opportunity by providing infrastructure services to third parties via our technology platform. So
Yeah, I think I wish he wasn't blockchain, not Bitcoin kind of guy. It seems like he's very blockchain-y focused. Like he's just not quite there yet. He hasn't been in Bitcoin long enough or understood it long enough. But I do like the fact that they're looking to integrate with all these services. That's great.
Really will cut across every element of our business.
What is the blockchain
business? Wait. What? Amazon is not going to list tariff breakdowns now? Is that what you just said? I'm sorry. What? Is that real? Can somebody tag me on one of those? Man, you got me, bro. Let me see here. Can you tag me if you haven't already? Let me just check real quick. It's fucking hilarious if that's true. Fucking hilarious. I could see Jeff Bezos probably got a call from Trump just being like, I will fuck you. Oh, God. Hey, Jesse. Yeah, dude. I can support you on Patreon for sure. Yeah, if you got a link to that, dude, throw it out.
And crypto business in the lending space ultimately look like to you?
Again, it's going to be subject to the regulatory environment, so I just have to caveat that. But today, we provide margin loans in our invest business where you can borrow money against your securities, against your assets. We can do the same thing with cryptocurrency. If we custody the cryptocurrency, we can provide a secured loan against that currency. Again, a lower cost of lending for our members, just like margin loans are, but an asset that they can borrow against, just as they do their home or securities in their invest account.
Right. So there's two things going on that I know some investors may have some confusion about. So there seems to be an effort at one level to move away from the sort of classic lending business to focus more on fee revenue. At the same time, there's been a huge growth in the lending or loan platform business. And so can you explain the distinction for those who are sort of trying to follow this company?
Sure. The first thing is to understand our mission. And our mission is to help people reach financial independence, to realize their ambitions, which means they get to the point that they have enough money to live their dreams, their American dream, have the size family they want, the size home they want, the career they want, and live where they want and retire when they want. In order to do that, we have to be there for every one of their major financial decisions in their lives and the days in between, which mean we really have to be across everything they do, borrow, save, spend.
I'm going to have to go out. Sorry, Anthony. JT said Bezos got a call from Trump like Grossman from Tropic Thunder. We're going out with that outro for fucking sure.
Spend, invest, and protect. So we do have 4 great loans. We try to provide the fastest place to apply and the lowest interest rates. We have totally more demand for our loans than we can fulfill ourselves. So some portion we'll do ourselves and some portion we'll do on behalf of third party. So the loan platform business is really a fee-based business where we leverage our origination platform, our marketing platform, our servicing platform to underwrite loans for other people like Blue Owl and Fortress.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So you did this, explain though, because I don't know if everyone knows, you did this deal with Blue Owl, which is one of the big credit providers in the country, for worth about $5 billion, right? How does that work?
Yeah, the way it works is they contract with us for a specific type of credit they want underwritten. We go out and generate demand for that underlying loan. We then fulfill that loan, and they take the loan away from us within a couple of days.
All right, he's getting too into the weeds. I'm bored. You're losing me, brother. You're losing me. But yeah, this is one of the great things. So all the memberships, and I've still got to play around with CryptoQuant today. Zero Hedge has so much fucking information, including their own private X that I've got to play around with too. It's just great. But and then I also need to look into what was it? The whale one. The whale one. I need to unusual act whales something. I need to look at that one too. But the great thing about all these different services that I'm signed up for is just getting content that other people don't get, and then being able to convey that stuff and relay it to you, which is fucking awesome. And I love it very much. So, but yeah, SoFi's looking great. Still up 5% on the day. U.S. Travel Association, Freeman on the impact of tariffs. I think that's just short-term noise. I really don't care about that. Mercado Libre CEO, trade war is a very big opportunity for Latin America. Ooh, I'm kind of interested on that. We do have more data coming out in 9.5 minutes. I want to listen to this one with Mercado Libre.
So the U.S. is going.
This is just a huge company in Latin America, and I want to see what they have to say.
Going through so much political and policy turmoil right now, and markets turmoil.
Yes.
What do you make of what's happening here?
Well, obviously there's a lot of volatility. I think there's
I'm interested to see what he means by opportunity for Latin America.
Was a situation where, U.S. was importing goods from everywhere without any tariffs, and it wasn't the same when U.S. wanted to export. In the tech world, we saw many American companies that were not able to operate in China, and many Chinese companies operating freely in the States. So probably, that wasn't the most fair situation, I would say. But then trying to change that is hard, and it creates a lot of pain. So, and volatility. So I don't know how this is going to end.
If you look at the Latin America economies, they seem to be benefiting right now. How do you see that?
This is clearly a very big opportunity for Latin America in general. I would say for Mexico in particular. Mexico, has been benefiting the last few years already with nearshoring. A lot of American manufacturers moving away from Asia and from China in particular, and moving closer to the U.S. I think Mexico has a huge opportunity, in particular Latin America in general. So definitely, if Latin America plays its cards well, I think it could benefit from this volatility. And there's going to be a bit of a permanent shift. I don't know how it's going to end, but I think the situation where everything was manufactured in China, consumed in the U.S., and China buys T-bills and in a way finances that, I think that dynamic is kind of over.
And how do you see Mexico's role in that broader shift, particularly?
I think Mexico has a population of 110, 120 million people. It could be a place where a lot of manufacturing. It already has a free trade agreement with the U.S., although it's also being discussed. I think it's going to end up well, and I think a lot of that manufacturing might end up in Mexico.
What about agriculture in Brazil, for instance, Argentina? I'm hearing that China is buying a lot more iron ore, soy, chicken, beef. Instead of buying from the U.S., they're buying from these other countries.
Yes.
Will there be a broader economic benefit beyond manufacturing Mexico to perhaps China buying more from Latin America?
Well, China has been the biggest, purchaser of agricultural products from Brazil and Argentina for a while now. The U.S. really hasn't been a factor there in that sense. So the U.S. has been more of a competitor. So maybe, I don't think that's going to be the primary impact though, but I think China will continue to buy from Latin America as it has been buying.
And what about from a global investment point of view? Your stock is up 30% year to date. You're often compared to Amazon, whose stock is down.
I might jump out of this. I just want to see if there's anything interesting.
You're the most valuable company by market cap in all of Latin America.
5 minutes till more data.
Do you see investors moving slightly away from the U.S., and is that benefiting you, or how do you see capital flows right now?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, we've done well the last year. We've done well the last 5 years. We were up like 3x the last 5 years. We IPO'd in 2007 at 18, and right now we're at 2,100. So I look at the long term.
All right, so that's really fascinating. I actually probably need to say something. So I don't know who just said it, but Echo said Amazon has tried to crack Mercado Libre's market. It has failed every time. I wonder how many trade-related barriers there are with Mercado Libre's market and Amazon trying to get any entry into it whatsoever. And I wonder how much of an impact that just played on what we saw here with these Amazon comments about the fact that they're not going to show a Trump tariff for each product on the main website. Because think about it. So one of the things that Trump talked about that he's trying to do is help our companies get access to India, to Latin America, to other parts of our neighbors or our new friend group. And again, India, if they're going to be the most preferred partner with the United States, that's going to come with a number of conditions, right? So I wonder if the White House called them up and said, "Hey, bitch, we're trying to literally help you enter new markets, and this is how you repay us. Fuck you. We will make your life hell." and they got him to step back real quickly on it, because I do think that's a really good point. I think I don't know how much of it is trade-related barriers, Echo. I wonder if there's just a ton of them, and it's just not worth it for them to be able to try and enter that market, because Amazon has economies of scale. They should be able to dwarf a lot of these other companies, and yet they can't. And so I know with India, I know that's definitely trade barriers. So I wonder how much that changes in the future. And if that was a negotiating tool that they used with Bezos, that'd be very, very fascinating to understand that better. So very interesting that you made that comment. All right, real quickly here, I'm just going to switch back over to regular CNBC and leave it on mute for now here. It's just got some old guy talking about some shit. We've got about 3.5 minutes. If you guys have any other questions, Bezos is once again the second most hated billionaire by the left. They probably loved him for a second. They're like, yeah, he's going to fuck Trump. And they're like, Trump's puppet. So you're probably right. You're probably right. And again, what are we seeing? We're going to be seeing Dallas Fed Services coming across in 2.5 minutes. Very excited about that and seeing where it goes. I'm going to refresh the CME Fed Watch tool again and see if it's changed at all. It's pretty dynamic. Nope, 7%. So we'll see. Man, I swear to God, like if this thing doesn't go higher after all we've seen it for economic weakness today in today's data, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Ooh, TSLL, thank you. I think I'm going to buy a little more. You're going to shave me off another 500. Thank you for the heads up, bro. So we're down about, TSLL is down about 3.61. I think that's a good time to buy another 500. Bob Honey. All right, there you go. Buy a little TSLL. Thank you for the heads up. Let's see what else we got going on today. Nothing too exciting. Options are staying pretty steady, actually, with some of these miners, which is fascinating. They're not getting beat up as much as I thought they would. They could be in a second, but again, Mara's up 1% today. MicroStrategy is still up 0.5. CleanSpark's down 1. Iron's down 1.8. Lots of chop today. Lots of chop. Nothing really crazy. Looks like Palantir's down 1% right now. SoFi's. So we're seeing data, I think. Let's bring this back up. Oh, there's something going on at the White House. Let's see what that is real quick.
Megan. Hey, Sarah, just a few minutes ago, we were saying we didn't yet have these details on the auto tariff relief front. Now I can confirm, according to a White House official, exactly what the president will be signing this afternoon. There are going to be two parts to this auto tariff relief. The first is a destacking, they're calling, of tariffs. This means that for auto companies that are already subject to the 25% tariff on all autos and auto parts, that remains in place, but they are no longer having to pay anything that might overlap with that. Mostly the steel and aluminum tariffs, as well as the Canada and Mexico tariffs. None of those will apply to the auto companies any longer. The other part of this is a rebate. This is going to be applied up front for the next 2 years to auto companies to sort of offset the impact of the tariffs. They'll get 3.75% back in the first year, 2.5% back in the second year, and that's going to be based on the retail value of the car and the percentage of it that's American made. So trying to offset again
this
that
is
tariff
huge
impact.
For Tesla, guys.
And it's a way of sort of rewarding these companies. The Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is out with a statement saying that this is giving these companies some runway in exchange for cooperating so far with the administration and trying to move as much of their manufacturing back to the.
This is smart. This is what people have been asking for. So tariffs still in place, not stacked, rebate applied front to auto companies based on the retail value of the car and at the percent that is American made. So you get a larger rebate if it's American made. Guess who benefits from that? Fucking Tesla. Fucking Tesla.
U.S. as possible. And again, guys, it is a busy
totally does, Stevie.
For news. So I also want to touch on one other thing, which is Amazon. We were speaking about this a few minutes ago as well, and the White House responding to a report about Amazon. The report initially said that Amazon was going to start adjusting its prices online to show the exact amount which was due to tariffs. An Amazon spokesperson now responding to CNBC saying, quote, "The team that runs our ultra low-cost Amazon Haul store has considered listing import charges on certain products. This was never a consideration for the main Amazon site, and nothing has been implemented on any Amazon property."
So that's interesting also, guys, real quickly here. So we've got just in, and thank you very much. I retweeted this. I got this from Shay. I appreciate you, brother. And he says Walmart going head-to-head against Amazon. As a consumer, you should look forward to market competition. Why? Companies competing for the consumer will be forced to innovate and bring prices down. I 100% agree. It says, just in, Walmart announces they'll be expanding support for American-made products per Axios. This is the way. Fuck yeah. Meanwhile, Amazon is doubling down on sleeping with China. Walmart says their goal is to make it easier for U.S.-based entrepreneurs to navigate through the complexities of retail and bring products to national stage. We anticipate thousands of small businesses will take advantage of these free resources in the coming years. This is smart, man. Made in America. So what? While we have whatever, whether that's true or not with what was happening with Amazon, we have Walmart saying we're going American made, and I think that's fucking brilliant. It's going to be good stuff.
So, guys, we had seen some impact in the markets on Amazon stock this morning after.
I want a filter on Amazon. You can put American made, but even then I found Chinese fucking products in there. I want to know where my shit is coming from, and I want to only buy from America or countries that are in North, South America, or that are friendly to us. Italy, other places like that. I don't want to buy from places that hate fucking America, and I want that to be easy.
After the White House called this a hostile and political act, Amazon now saying this is not under consideration.
Dallas Fed, thank you. Let's look over here real quick. So we've got Dallas Fed negative net 19.4. Not surprising, right? -9 for forecast. Previous was negative 11.3. Dallas Fed Services Revenue Index is 3.8. So this is fascinating. So revenue is actually much higher than expected, even though the services are substantially weaker. So that's a mixed bag of nuts, showing a little bit of strength, but also showing a lot of weakness. Being pro Walmart in 2025 was not on my bingo card. Me either. But hey, man, I will work with whoever works with America. That's my stance. I still have a day job, so I appreciate all this info, but I just don't have time currently. No problem. Get back to your day job, John. How long will you hold TSLL? I don't know. Maybe the remainder of the year. I really don't like holding 2X funds that long, but if they just go up and up and up and up, then I'm probably going to hold it. And I could see a lot of good things happening with the rebates and all this other stuff for Tesla. I think this is a really good opportunity. And I might even buy more. I think I'm going to buy another 500. I think I bought 2,000 contracts today of TSLL. I think this news that we just heard a second ago about the auto tariffs is really, really positive. 1 second here. I'm just going to buy this again. And then I'm going to bounce over, and we'll see what Rick Schmantelli has to say. Oh, over here. Is this it? No, that's not it. Where are we? Here we are. I'm going to jump here real quick to this. I want to see if Rick had anything to say. Ricky Bobby. Did they have anything?
Is later today once the president signs the.
Okay. All right. So we'll get more details later today. I think Rick Schmantelli is probably going to come back talking about the Dallas Fed survey. But again, showing weakness, but revenue's higher. Weakest number on the Dallas Fed manufacturing survey since not quite as bad as October 2023 or December of 2022, but real frickin' close. So next reading could be all the way down to pandemic stuff. TSLL and MSTX are going to be a deadly duo this year. I agree. I think they're going to do really well. I think they're going to do really well. Oh, here we go. Rich Schmantelli.
Welcome back. I'm Pippa Stevens with your CNBC News Update.
We're Pippa.
The Supreme Court will hear the case today of an Atlanta woman whose home was wrongly raided by the FBI.
Yeah.
A team leader says his personal GPS led him to the wrong place. Trina.
It's all TSLL, right? Well, no, I can't say that. I do have Tesla stock too and a couple of other accounts, but the vast majority, like 98%, is probably TSLL right now, because I think that this is a good time to be leveraged to the long on it, down 42%. From its recent highs here in December and running at the same level that it was in December of 2020. Makes me feel pretty confident about the direction that we're going to be taking in the months and quarters ahead with all the positive things that are going to be. You got to remember all the tailwinds, guys. We got energy, which is great. We've got FSD revenue that should be coming in for China for Q2. We've got better sales in Q2 because that's just a better month to buy cars. And we've got lots of incentives. Margins will probably be a little lower, but they'll be good. And then we're opening up in the Indian market. We opened up in Korea. We've opened up recently in Mexico, where we could be turning on FSD in Europe. There's just so many, and the FSD is getting incredibly better to where people are going to start paying the monthly fee for it and or buying it outright, and they'll be able to recognize previous revenues from people that have bought it outright that they have not recognized previously, because each stage where they progress, so if they get to full self-driving and they start deploying that out in these cyber cabs and they ramp that stuff up, they're probably going to recognize more revenue too with FSD. So they took a hit in Q1, didn't really affect their stock badly at all. And then Q2, I think, is going to be a rocket ship. Q3, Q4 are always good quarters. So I could just see Tesla ramping and doing better and better and better later into this year. So I'm very, very positive about Tesla right now. I think it's wonderful. I think, though, guys, I'm going to call it. It's already 9:36, and I've been on here since like 6:45. So we got almost 3 hours in. So I think I'm done for the day. We are going to go out on a good note. So just remember this. Remember this. This is what happened today with Amazon. I believe it. I believe it to be true. Yeah, just picture Trump over here talking to Jeff Bezos on the other end of that phone call. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Because we kill him.
This is Les Grossman. Who is this?
This is Flaming Dragon.
Okay, Flaming Dragon. Fuckface. First, take a big step back and literally fuck your own face! Now, I don't know what kind of pan-Pacific bullshit power play you're trying to pull here, but Asia Jack is my territory. So whatever you're thinking, you better think again. Otherwise, I'm going to have to head down there, and I will rain down on a godly fucking firestorm upon you. You're going to have to call the fucking United Nations and get a fucking binding resolution to keep me from fucking destroying you. I am talking scorched earth, motherfucker. I will massacre you. I will fuck you up!